guess, with the comments, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello,
We're live
everyone, and
now.
welcome to the live. We are now live. I'm rusty. I haven't done one of these live streams on here in many months. So I thought I pressed go live, did my intro, just said hello to everyone in the chat by name,
So
and
did
then
I.
realised we're not actually live. So,
Hello, Mel.
but
Hello,
yeah,
Lieutenant. Hello, Shazza. Hello,
and
Lynn.
that's and
Hello,
that's
all
why
the
we're
ladies.
yeah, and that's why we're 3 minutes late, because I just spent the past 3 minutes thinking I was live. So
And Andy
yeah,
Negative, welcome as well. Just saw that one
I'll
at the top.
go. Yeah, I'll go through it all again. Hello, Andy Negative. Hello, Lynn, Shazza, Mel, Lynn. I said Lynn, LTG. How are we all? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. So yeah, I guess you're not used to coming on RBM's channel with me live with my Union Jack in the background.
I'm not used to being a guest, and I can't see the comments while I've got you and me on the screen, which is
Can you not?
No, if I go to press comments, it just brings up literally the comments, and that's it. Unless you've got it set up somewhere.
See, I thought we were going to have
Evening,
Martine
Roman. How you doing,
coming
buddy?
as well, Zen Marty. So we're just waiting on Zen Marty. She might be coming up as well. If I think we can only have 4 at a time, is it, on this plan?
I think so.
You know more.
No, 6. You can have 6 on the free plan.
Can you have 6? Oh, so if anyone else wants to come up, then yeah, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Feel free to come up and join us, chat, talk about today, talk about any issues and that. Vent, do what you want. So link's going in chat now.
If anyone wants to come up. This layout's very odd, bro. I don't know why.
Why is it odd?
I don't know why I can't see the comments and see the show at the same time. I guess I'll just have to.
I think they've got a new layout, haven't they, on here now?
You haven't got it in like presentation mode or something, have you, from doing videos or something like that?
Yeah, don't think so.
That's right. I'll get my other phone out. Considering I managed to get mine back on Saturday, I still have 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you're going to fix that one, but there's got to be a way. Must be a way. Otherwise, use 2 phones.
It's not even letting me go into landscape mode either. Just portrait only for some reason.
Hello, Roman. Hello, Ferret. Welcome. Good to
Ferret
see
as well,
you. Hello,
all the
old
way
school.
From Rome. All the way from Rome, Ferret. How you doing, old school? How you doing, Roman?
He must like the late night ones. So yeah, so I'll put that link in the chat there. I'm going to pin that to the top. So pin message if anyone wants to come up.
Roman, do you want to come up?
Free.
Roman said he's been raving all day about it as well, about the subject.
Yeah, well,
come up and vent. Come on.
Looks like we've got Lieutenant in the house. Hello, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Let me
hello. How are we?
Hello.
We are good. Very good.
Hello, young lady. How are we doing?
I'm all right. More of the young, yes, I like that.
Good stuff.
Very good.
And so, yeah, I've not been in yours before.
You haven't, have you?
No. It's quality, isn't it? It's a quality studio. Look at those lighting and colours.
Yeah,
all very well done, yes.
Well, I put some effort into it back in the early days when I first started my channel, but then I was going live and there was literally no one watching. So I kind of gave up. I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll grow the numbers a bit first and then try again in the future. So I thought I'd try one today and see how it goes.
It's always worth just keeping on, isn't it? I mean, it takes a while, I'm noticing, for YouTube to spread you around, because their algorithms, it doesn't matter what your content is, always tries to push you out, because it wants you to have loads of viewers so that it can make money out of you, by putting the ads on and stuff, monetizing you. So it just takes time at first for it to get you spread around, to find out where your niche is, where people want to see that your content,
Yeah, no, that's true. Hopefully they push it out, hopefully they'll push it out even more nowadays. I think the last time I did lives, I think I had about 500 subs or something. So
nice one.
But I did enjoy them in the early days. They were quite fun. I remember doing one on Elon Musk when he was doing all the tweets about, Nigel Farage and not being the leader and all that. And I remember I went on there to discuss Elon Musk, and I had hundreds of people watching, and I was like, "Whoa, where's all these come from? I'm not used to this."
Yeah.
And then the following week, when it was just general chat, it was back down to 0. So yeah, bit disheartening,
so
sometimes.
there was that one where we had Andre come on, didn't we? What was his name? Andre Walker. Seemed to bring a load of people with him.
Yeah, that was the Elon one as well. Actually, Andre Walker came in. I was like, I'm used to having maybe up to 5 people watching. Then all of a sudden, Andre's there with hundreds of people. I'm like, well, okay.
Wow, that's amazing, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
He hasn't
I
been on
think
since. He hasn't commented on anything since. Shame on you, Andre. I thought you were going to be a regular. Shame on you if you're watching. He's probably not watching.
Shame.
I think it depends on the kind of content you've got and the time of day. What I've just learnt tonight is 9 p.m. is the perfect time for me to release a short, to make a short public, because everyone's chilling out and it comes up on their phone. Whereas, like, say, during the day, even commuting time, people are too busy to be taking notice of any notifications that come up. Because, like, I've just released one at 9 o'clock because I've been trying them at different times of the day. And it's the first time I had like 125 views in 20 minutes, which it sounds nothing to bigger channels, but for me, I'm a tiny channel. I've only got
Yeah.
146 subs, right? I'm only just starting out and experimenting with it. I don't understand it all that much. So that for me, it's the best I've done so far. So I think it's
That
about
must be like
finding your time of day as well for your
yeah,
audience.
that must be like a time slot where people in the UK are still up, haven't gone to bed yet, and people are just waking up, maybe in America or something like that. So it
Yeah,
must be hitting
yeah,
like a sweet spot where it gets a bit of both,
yeah.
possibly.
Yeah, well, like 9 p.m. here is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in America, like East Coast. So they will be starting to finish work, mothers picking their kids up from school, stuff like that. So yeah, that will have a
Yeah,
lot to do with it.
but
And of
hopefully they
course,
get better.
Europe, as you go more east in Europe, it's an hour on top. So like 9 p.m. here will be 10 p.m. there. So like say the Netherlands, France, Spain, they're an hour ahead of us. So it'll be a good time for them because they won't be going to bed like around 10 o'clock in those countries, generally speaking.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, do you have like how much percentage of your viewers are coming from like America and that? Do you have like the analytics on that yet?
It does show that, but I mean, I don't check that part that much.
Yeah,
Eventually I
I know.
will
I
be
never
checking
check.
on things like that more often, but at the moment that's not my focus. So I check now and again. Most of it
Yeah,
is London, UK.
yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
I suppose, because a lot of the people, I suppose, in our sort of circle, in our community, a lot of them are from London, so it might be that they are watching, and therefore it's picking them all up.
Yeah, and I think it's to do with some of the hashtags, like say I'll put Speaker's Corner in there. Most people looking at Speaker's Corner are in and around London. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Hello, AJ. AJ Audits in the house. So yeah, so basically today the show is going to be about today, the anniversary of 7/7, the atrocities that happened, and what our leaders and our king are using this day to be. So yeah, if we all remember back in 20 years ago, today the anniversary, where we had 7/7, and these are just so many images of what happened. You had the bus bombings, the train bombings, and of course, the 4 suicide bombers that did this, they, obviously died, but then there was another 4 only a couple of weeks later, and it could have all happened again, but they didn't go off because they made the wrong mix. I actually recently watched a documentary on Netflix that's just come out regarding 7/7, and it really takes you back there, and it also, alerts you to the dangers that we still face of this happening and potentially happening. But yeah, so it's a solemn day. And of course, this image here is the victims, the people that, well, you know, people are saying they lost their lives, and others are saying, well, let's say it how it is, they were murdered. These are the people that were murdered to Islamist extremism. And, you know, we'll always remember them. You know, may they rest in peace, and their families and the survivors, of course. You know, we've got to stand strong with them as well, as, you know, they've got the memories of what happened still going through their heads. So, yeah, but the real interesting thing that we had is this picture. Typical photo opportunity for Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan with their flowers. You know,
them again.
Yeah,
don't even want to see them.
I know, but I thought I'd put it up there anyway, because it just goes to show that these two people that are ruining this country, you know, driving us into the ground, leaving the borders open, not stopping them coming in. These are the people that are laying flowers in remembrance for the people that died 20 years ago. And it goes on. And the reason I show this picture is because of their two statements that they made today. You know, where they're basically pushing multiculturalism, like, you know, using the memories of the people today to do that, which I think is quite sick, really.
I agree with that, Steve. I mean, looking at that picture, the word oxymoronic comes to mind, because Sadiq Khan is the one who said that bombs going off in cities is normal city life, when no, it is not
No.
in this country and in the West and in the civilized and thus the first world. No, it is not. And then you've got Keir Starmer saying how he cares about us, but he's not stopped any one of these individuals that would do the same, that led to them having to carry those flowers there, happen again. So it's
Exactly.
oxymoronic.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
it's also, I say, it's like Nick says about them as well. They're always there to call out the outrage, but they never offer any solutions. Every single time there's an opportunity for them to call out the outrage and make it look like they care,
Get rid of them.
They're getting the picture opportunity. But where's the solutions? There should be solutions coming after all this.
No, exactly. And I think
to stop it happening again.
And I think in their roles, you know, Sadiq Khan being the mayor of London and Keir Starmer being the prime minister, they have to go out and do that, whether they care or not. Now, we don't know whether they care or not. They, you know, it doesn't seem like it, the way they keep letting things happen and letting them in. Because they both released a statement today, you know, see what we think of the statement. This was Keir Starmer's official statement. Today, the whole country will unite to remember the lives lost in the 7/7 attacks and all those whose lives were changed forever. We honour the courage shown that day, the bravery of the emergency services, the strength of survivors, and the unity of Londoners in the face of terror, which is all well and good. Agree on that part. And then it goes on to, those who tried to divide us failed. We stood together then, and we stand together now, against hate and for the values that define us of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Now, in my opinion, he should have just left out that last part. You know, this is about remembering them, you know, remembering their memories. And he should have just left it at the first part of that message. But again, he's going into, you know, against hate, etc. And yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, diverting the attention onto something other than what it should be on.
Exactly. Yeah. And
I think that third sentence shows us that he's just trying to look good. It's a virtue signal. It was completely unnecessary, that third sentence, like you said there, Steve.
Yeah. So I mean that was Keir Starmer's, and then if we look at what Sadiq Khan had to say, a bit more long-winded. We remember the 52 people whose lives were cruelly stolen on that dark day, and our thoughts and prayers remain with all their loved ones, as well as the more than 700 people who were injured by these cowardly acts of hatred. We also pay tribute to those who ran towards a danger on that terrible day, from emergency services personnel to transport workers and members of the public, who showed incredible courage and compassion by putting their own safety at risk to help those in need. Their bravery and selflessness will never be forgotten. Well said. Leave it there. Right, that's my opinion.
I'm just saying, looking at this, it looks like he's just got this straight out of Grok. There's nothing personal in there, is there? Keir Starmer's just been written by his team, and Khan's just having a laugh and gone and written it up by AI, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Go and carry on.
It's like, I mean, it's like robots, isn't it? They always, they kind of have the same message regardless of the situation. They don't tug into the human emotion and really delve into it. But again, it should have been left there, and it should have been based on their memories and remembering them today on this anniversary. But then he goes on, just like Starmer did. 2 decades on, as we unite for a day of commemoration, I have a clear message for those who seek to spread division and sow hatred. You will never win. London's determination to stand together is stronger than ever. We will always choose hope over fear and unity over division as we continue building a safer London for everyone. Well, first of all, he's not building a safer London for everyone, because knife crime is through the roof and it's gone up under his mayorship. Right? All the other attacks that have been happening in London, from a lot of these illegal migrants, I say, that come over, crime has risen. It's not.
Yes.
It's not building a safer London. London
And
is not.
Khan's two-tier police with directives that they've been given out to stop praying Christians and allow Islamists and Islam religions to just run riot in certain parts of London. Yeah. So it's definitely two-tier as well.
But then again, he's gone from the focus of today, which is on the memories of the people that lost their lives, into, all this nonsense about, we must unite. And I just think it's wrong. Yeah.
There's to me, there's words in it: hope over fear. It's like the hope, not hate, isn't it? So he's keeping that in the psyche, which seriously, the vast majority of us are so pissed off with. And then again, it's the virtue signal, and it's an illiterate and infantile thing to say, division, right? As if division is a wrong thing. Listen, there's a divide between you and me, whether it's the internet, a wall, the fact that we are two individuals, right? We are always going to have division in life. We need to get on with this shit. It's a case of you have difference in opinions. That means there's a divide, okay? That's not unhealthy. We need to have divisions, okay? Because then we can have a conversation, we can thrash ideas out, right? So we need to be able to express, we need to be able to say what's going on in our heads for us to be able to thrash it out and to progress individually, collectively, in every aspect of life. So what they're doing is saying, just everyone agree, okay, and here's what you're going to have to agree with, and then everything will be okay. Until then, we're going to keep on hurting you. That's basically what's being said there. It's abhorrent. And when it's supposed to be commemorating an atrocity and the people who died and the people who survived them, who continue to suffer without them, their nearest and dearest, to use that to do what he's doing. I mean, doing what he's doing is sick anyway, but it's cherry on the cake for me. It's abhorrent.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, if we look at the message who it's directed at, where he says about a clear message for those to seek to spread division and sow hatred, you'll never win. He's aiming at the so-called far right, isn't he? Right? That's who he's aiming at. Because if you look at the pro-Pally lot, etc., they're sowing division and hate all the time. They're full of hatred. Look at every event you turn up to. They're all full of hate and violence, and they're always, attacking. And, it's like with your event, the left, the Marxist lot that one gym went to on the weekend, they went there to just do a peaceful counter protest against it, and they got violent, started attacking, and, that's what they do. But
well, I mean, they're passing laws, didn't they, in Parliament faster than we're having hot dinners. I mean, you can go back to the Online Safety Act of 2023, and that one just basically stopped free speech in a way, didn't it? I mean, if you look at it, what does it say? It mandates on online platforms to remove harmful or objectionable content, which, that takes away free speech, raising concerns about vague definitions and potential overreach. I mean, what do they class as overreach? How far can you go? It's all restrictions on free speech, isn't it? It empowers authorities to police speech excessively, even more so when it's when it's on foreign platforms. I mean, this is just for online social media, you know, speech. I mean, this isn't, you know, speaking at Speaker's Corner or something. You should be allowed to have an argument or a conversation, you know, without any fear of any repercussions. But I mean, I say that's just one that I could think of just then, but there's so many that have come out to restrict and stop you from having this free speech. That alone, I think, causes division because people can't have a conversation. So they pick sides, don't they? And you saw it, like you say, on Saturday.
Yes.
You know, if you look at Based in Bougie video, where she actually got to interview some of the other side. It's a brilliant video because every single one of them don't know why they're there. They don't know the ideology they support. It's just fashionable for them, isn't it, to get in a group with people and sing stupid chants, and they don't even have a clue what they're doing it for or what they're doing it about. They don't even know that Marx, you know, is a Satan worshipper. You have other things that she picked up in her video. It's just
that's right.
It was just so funny to see how thick every single one of them are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, and that's a problem. You can't talk. You try and have a conversation, try and put a question to them, and they just come out with all these excuses and walk off, or make you delete the footage, or you know, the usual stuff that happens. They just can't have a conversation or a debate with you about the ideology that they support and they follow. And
that is proof in itself that you shut speech down, you shut thought down, and so you end up stuck and narrow-minded and closed off. And when anything comes along that challenges that, you kick off, you become you're tyrannical. So ultimately they're ideologues or ideologues, however you pronounce that, right? And we've seen it time and time again throughout human history, which is not pretty. Okay, tyrants come from people sitting contemplating their own ideal world. That's where it begins, how you think things should be and shouldn't be, instead of looking at how they are and trying to get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Looking at how things shouldn't be from some rather finely glazed ivory tower, and then getting a sprinkle of power, and there you go, boom. They are commanding that you fulfill this vision that they've got going on in their head, which is entirely unrealistic and thus will always fall. Doesn't matter what they come up with in their heads, how they think it should be, it'll always fall, because you can't change it the way it is. You've just got to try and get on with it. That is life, and it's a tough pill to swallow. Like, I'll sit there and it cheeses me off, but we're not going to grow up and just get on with it like what our forebearers are going to do if we don't accept that. So we're always going to have problems.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think I was like just watching some of them and the sort of dumbfounded look they had in their face and their inability to answer a question. It just always takes me back to 4 or 5 years ago, when everyone was going, oh, you know, there'll be no place for people anymore. We're all going to be taken over by robots. And you think, oh yeah, that's not going to happen. But you look at what's happening. Every person is becoming the robot. So in a way, it's quite ironic, but it's true.
I think robots will take over. I think there'll be in a day and age of Terminators, etc. Robots, because if you think about it, the world is going to end by fire of some sort. You know, either a meteor or nukes. Most likely is going to be the end of the world. The robots are going to survive it.
I don't know about that.
And with all that, yeah, they will. They'll survive it. You know, how they're made, what they're made of, and that they'll survive it. And with all the AI that's inbuilt into these robots, which is going to be very, very, very good, smarter than us. They'll rebuild. It'll be like a robot world. See it happening. Yeah.
That's a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
it's like a cross between. Sorry, it's a cross between Terminator and what's it? Matrix. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, as I was going to say, the people that will survive will be the ones that haven't been discovered or interacted with humans yet and live on islands somewhere, you know, without any, you know, jungle people that haven't been contacted by modern day humans. They'll probably survive because they're resourceful. They still know how to survive without technology. But I don't know about the robots.
But yeah, so let's move on to the third statement we got, which I think is the worst of all because it really pinpoints the old multiculturalism and that is by our so-called king. This is King Charles and what he had to say about today. Today, as we mark 20 years since the tragic events of 7th of July 2005, my heartfelt thoughts and special prayers remain with all those whose lives were forever changed on that terrible summer's day. While the horrors will never be forgotten, we may take comfort from the way such events rally communities together in solidarity, solace and determination. It is this spirit of unity that has helped London and our nation to heal. See, he doesn't take much time going straight into it. As we remember those we lost, let us therefore use this 20th anniversary to reaffirm our commitment to building a society where people of all faiths and backgrounds can live together with mutual respect and understanding, always standing firm against those who would seek to divide us. There you go.
Well,
What a trio of World Economic Forum puppets.
exactly. I can't even read statements that he puts out anymore because everyone's as bad as the last. There's never any support for what he stood in office to do, as it were. He's supposed to be defending the faith, leading the country, but there's none of that.
We've got like 2 to 3 lines in memory of the people that actually lost their lives 20 years ago, and the rest, 12 lines, whatever it is, of multiculturalism, communities, and all of that. I mean, this is our king. He panders to the Islamic faith, etc. He holds Ramadans in his St. George's Hall and everything, doesn't he? Most people think he's a convert, but he can't come out and say that because he's supposed to be head of the church. But to be honest, using their memory and this anniversary to reaffirm commitment to building a society where people of all faiths and backgrounds can live together with mutual respect and understanding, always standing firm against those who seek to divide it. He's basically saying that the very people who did this in the first place is what he wants to continue promoting. That we can all get along, we can all, get together, multiculturalism and that. This is the reason it happened in the first place. This is the reason that those people lost their lives 20 years ago. And he's pushing that on us now, in memory of that.
Well, here's the thing. You look at this statement, it's political, it's partial, okay? He's supposed to be impartial, he's supposed to be apolitical, and he's supposed to be ensuring that what we want, how we want to live, is what's in place, not the other way around. Here, he's imposing his ideology upon us.
Yeah.
They've not once asked us ever. There's never been a vote. There's never been a referendum. Do we want multiculturalism? Do we want migrants coming in? Do we need them? None of it's been asked of us. We've never expressed our consent.
No. We haven't. No, we haven't. We haven't discussed it either. And when he takes his oath as our king, part of that oath is the coronation oath from 1688, which requires the monarch to govern according to the laws and customs of the realm, which indirectly ties to free speech as a fundamental right under UK law. And we've even covered that, I think, during the quiz, free speech laws, etc., here and there. But that's actually in his oath. Do you know what I mean? That's been in the oath since... What was it, 1688? The oath evolved from, I think it was William and Mary, to ensure that the monarch respects parliamentary laws, including those protecting rights of freedom of expression, is one example. Do you know what I mean? The Bill of Rights, that came into it as well. Limiting worldwide interference in parliamentary speech. And let's not forget the parliamentarians are supposed to be the voice of the people, so that includes us and what we want to say. And that's just one part of the oath. I mean, obviously we know about defender of the faith, etc., but that specifically is on the free speech and the free speech laws in this country.
Yeah, but it is true though that the start of multiculturalism and trying to mix us with all these different religions and ideologies, etc., is the reason this happened in the first place. What terrorist incident happened before 7/7 bombings here in the UK? I can't remember one anyway.
Well,
aside from the Irish stuff, you know, the IRA in the
well,
70s, 80s.
the one that always sticks in my head, because I went to school just down the road from it when I was younger, was when it was the first bombing by the Islamic State, or I think it was Iraq at the time, or Iran, when they bombed the Israeli embassy, which was in Finchley. And that, because that was local to me, obviously I was back at school then, so we're talking how many years? 35 plus years ago, or something, 30 years ago.
The thing is, we've got 1400 years of recorded history of that is what Islam does, no matter where it goes in the world. So we know what Islam is. So to have us all of a sudden, as soon as Bush makes a speech after September 11, 2001, have us all of a sudden think that it's a religion of peace is absurd. When there's not one record in the world up until that point that's ever stated that. Islam has never declared that either.
No. And that's radical Islamists, if you think about it. Those 4 bombers on that day were British born. They were born here. So...
But listen, the youth in the UK that are born into and thus grow up as Muslims, 75% of them want Sharia law, knowing what punishments are in Sharia law. That means their parents are not peaceful Muslims, no matter what they've had us think they are, because they've played it on the law. When, you know, you can talk to, say, Banksy. He's an Iranian. He'll tell you what it's like with Islam, what they're like at first, all very nice until they get their feet under the table and then boom. And you see that wherever it goes, anywhere it goes in the world. For 1400 years, that's all we've seen.
That's right.
I think we've seen other, not just in the UK, but if you look at 9/11, the Twin Towers, you look at 7/11 when they invaded Israel. Like, it's just
in
this terror everywhere you look.
In 98, I think it was in New York, there was a bomb went off at a building, and that was down to Islam as well. So September 11th wasn't like a totally out of the blue thing. It's something that they do.
I forget who said it the other day, but it was a celebrity of some kind, and he said, you can go down any town or village or high street where there's plenty of people, and if you ask them the same question, what religion would you associate with terrorist attacks? What's the answer going to be? They're not going to say Christian. They're not going to say Jewish. They're not going to say Buddhist or Hindu. It's always the same answer.
It's always Islam, and then I would finish it off with, and by the way, it's not a religion. By the way, it's not a religion; it's a cult. But going back to that letter, there's something I've noticed, a common theme. Yes, all 3 of them use 2 words: unity or unite, and division or divide. Right? They are 2 polar opposites. Okay, it's black and white thinking. Black and white in this one from the king as well, like it's white writing on a black background. They are key colours in symbolism of duality.
It's all part of mind control, isn't it? You can see it. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it, but it's DEI, isn't it? Division, was it the diversity, equality, and inclusion? And that's part of the problem of the left fascist socialism movement with WEF. And I say you're right to pick it up, because even in Khan's one, when you were reading through it, and you noticed the hope not hate, do you know what I mean? It wasn't written in black and white, hope not hate, but full well that paragraph was manufactured to leave you with those words. Yeah, those words in your head. I mean, I've done a lot of studying on psychology and sociology and stuff, and you can see it. I see it everywhere. In the media, shops, advertising. They all use different colours, different words, different triggers. You look at reform now; they're using the most. The colour of reform is that, to try and make people believe in peace, strength, and unity. Different colours have different meanings. So I'm glad you picked that up. I mean, the normal people won't pick that up. They'll just read it. When they go to sleep and wake up, as you've just pointed out, that's what's going to be left in their brains, because it's manufactured to do that. It's all part of it.
Yeah, well, we've already been pre-programmed with the DEI stuff and talking about being united and not wanting division. So when they use them a bit more loosely and not as verbatim in the future, like what we're seeing in these three statements, your subconscious, your brain picks up on it whether you do or not. And then, yeah, you go to sleep where your brain does a load of processing, you wake up and then you're reprogrammed, you're back on with their agenda again. If you're not aware of these sort of things, you'll find yourself going along with something that maybe a couple of days ago you were all against.
It's like, it's just what they say, like going down the rabbit hole, isn't it? Once you go down there, it's hard to get back out.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you're aware
once you
of
see it, you can't unsee it. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, so yeah, you're right. But I say we are all programmed. I mean, everything that you do to serve the globalist movement, if you want to call it that, is manufactured. Even when you go shopping, shops are laid out primarily for women, because more women go shopping than men, food shopping, etc., etc. So when you walk into most big brand name shops, women automatically go to the left, men go to the right, the way the brains work. So if you go to a man's, specifically man's clothes shop, you might notice that it's laid out to the right, and the till will be at the end in like a circular fashion. But most shops that want women to go shopping and spend money will program you from the left to walk around the products you look at. I've done all this when I've worked in retail as well. All the products you look at, the things that attract you over to the certain areas, it gets you going around. The music they play, you look at the music they play in the supermarket now, it's all the same. It gets downloaded from head office. It's pre-programmed to make you feel happy and stay in the shop longer. And then obviously,
I mean, that's another thing. Like in supermarkets, the bakery part deliberately blows the smell of the freshly baked bread.
But that's not baker's trick as well, is to put that in the morning so people smell it when they used to bake bread. The allspice, I think it is. But again, yeah, I mean, it's an old trick, but you're right. Sorry, it works. And that as well.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Mel, for the membership. Appreciate it.
Nice one, Mel.
Welcome to the Real British Members list.
But yeah, no, I'll say it's refreshing though that I say people like us and a lot of other people now are becoming aware of this, and actually, apart from just being aware, because a lot of people might read it or watch a YouTube video, but they won't carry it into their daily life. But if you can keep it in your subconscious and know what they're trying to do, you can kind of see it everywhere. I'm not even joking.
That is so true. Yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
going back to this multiculturalism thing, where he says about reaffirming our commitment to building a society where people of all faiths and backgrounds can live together. I mean, they still honestly believe this. I mean, we know full well that Islamists are not compatible with Western culture. They're not compatible. They cannot mix. We know this now.
The thing is, they know that we can't, but they want us to be at each other's throats. That way they get to continue doing what they do,
But then, like I said, before all of this, trying to build multiculturalism, that before all of this, life was fairly good. We weren't worried every time we walked the streets. You could walk the streets at night and feel safe, but not anymore. And, when you think of the numbers and the threats, there are 40,000 radical Islamists on the terror watch list in the UK. 40,000. Right, that's 40,000 more chances that another terror attack could happen, and they're coming in more and more day by day by the boats, etc., etc., and they're still trying to bring them in. Like 40,000.
That's not including the 200,000 now that have come over that are unvetted and unchecked. I mean, it's sad to say, but what was it I heard the other day?
That's what I'm saying.
What's going to happen is they're going to try and take over a city or a town. This is what's going to happen, isn't it? Look at that mega mosque up in the district. Who was it that was talking about the 3 Bs? Bradford, Blackburn and Bolton. No, this is important
because that was Charlie Veach on Tufts.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, it's true though. I think he's kind of got a point with that. And well, you look at the spine of the country. I've noticed it driving around the country for years, like where they've actually got their strongholds. And yeah, it is very plausible that could happen. That would give everyone the outrage. They'll hold hostages, similar to what you've seen happening, I guess, in Gaza and Israel. The music festival,
Yeah,
it's a pattern. That's the thing, and they follow patterns. They've done it ever since they left the Arab world and came west. Every country's been destroyed. Nothing's left. They don't build anything. They don't. You know what I mean?
I've been saying that for a while
buildings.
I've been saying that for a while. They're going to end up taking an area just like you have the Gaza Strip. There's going to be a place in the UK like that, which is going to be run and taken over.
I'm not being funny, but you look at the line of action now of the different towns that are overrun and follow that line, and it's pretty much following the same line as Daneland, back when we had the problem with the Vikings during the Anglo-Saxon times. If you kind of follow that line through Old Mercia, down to the Thames, following the river networks, etc.
It's exactly their behavior. It's exactly what they do. They make themselves a stronghold and then just spread outwards, to try and conquer. We've seen that throughout history.
Like locusts.
And we're hearing from prominent people in the Middle East who are glad to see the back of Islam from their countries, saying, "What are you doing, letting them into Europe?"
Yeah,
It's like suicide.
Yeah, I say Banksy is a prime example because I've heard him say that as well, isn't he? And
I don't even know how bad some of these places are. I mean, people keep mentioning places like AJ says. Bradford has always been spot the white person. See, I don't actually know how bad these areas are because I've never been to them. I've never seen them. I've just heard stories like this.
Yeah, all of the Midlands.
Well, here's the thing: the NHS in Birmingham is now officially bankrupt because of the interbreeding, the health problems that come with that.
And then
of course, we've seen that they go about just doing what they want, and thus everyone else has got to clean up after them. So they exhaust all services.
They're like a bacteria, aren't they? If you get an old bullet wound and you get bacteria and gangrene in it, the way it spreads around the body, and you're trying to desperately clean up after the flipping disease, it spreads and takes over. It's Birmingham's a prime example. They can't even clear the streets of rubbish, and it's the same in parts of London as well. And that comes with its own diseases and germs, and then the health system can't cope. The infrastructure
there's a specific part in the northeast, in Newcastle, the west end of Newcastle, where the so-called, they call them grooming gangs, right? Where that thing is still going down, and they did Operation Sanctuary. Well, that particular part of Newcastle, the West End, there was always you didn't mess with the people from the West End of Newcastle, but it was always clean and tidy. People put their rubbish in the bins. Now, oh my God. It's just black bin bags that are torn open all the way down the streets. And no one really wants to go there because it's predominantly Muslims. And there's, like I say, there's the grooming gang situation going on there. There's drugs. It's just horrendous.
We haven't even got onto the inbreeding and the problems that comes with that, and the brain damage and the deformities, etc., etc.
Well, yeah.
And that's a massive.
That's what I'm saying. That's what exhausts the NHS.
That's the thing. The NHS hasn't got that broader range of things it can treat people with. It costs money, doesn't it? So it's limited, but it's still very good, or it was very good. Whereas everyone knows if you go private, you can get more help for more things. But it can only deal with certain things. And we haven't had rabies in this country. Sorry,
it's only limited because of the amount of people that need help. It's the most heavily funded healthcare system in the developed world, yet it has the worst outcome in the developed world. Outcome is health. So that means it's destroying us more than it's helping us.
Yeah, well, so they're even saying that TV's come back now, didn't they? We've eradicated things like TV, rabies, God knows what else they're bringing over. Do you know what I mean? Our little
Kids
island
can't
can't
play out.
cope.
Kids can't play out because it's so rough because of what they're doing. So they're ending up with rickets
Yeah, that's another
because they're
one.
hormone D deficient.
These are all pre-war fliming things that we managed to get rid
Yeah.
of. And now everything's just going down. Everything, the drain on the country is so bad. The food quality is so bad. You know, everyone's going to suffer. This is the communist way, isn't it? Everyone should be equally poor, and that is what they want. And then the rich will stay rich, the 1%, and that's not good for society or our culture that we built up.
Well, most of the rich, if they can afford it, they're getting out of the country, aren't they? So, because they can afford it, and a lot of them have left. So I think the country's getting poorer as well because of that. They're taking their money overseas, and that's no longer in Britain then, or being spent in Britain.
Well, this happened years ago when we had the first recession. Was it under the last Labour government at that time, when they invited all the, I'm not going to knock the Polish because they work well, they work hard, but when they invited a lot of Eastern Europeans over, they assumed that they'd work in our country and then bank in our country, but they didn't. They worked in the country and sent the money home. So obviously the country hit a recession and we lost money that way. And the same thing happens no matter what country you come from. You know what I mean? I'm not going to single them out, but everyone that actually is here to work legally or, and provide for their family that maybe in their other country are doing so. That's what they're going to do. They're going to send the money back for their family. But not these ones that are over here scrounging off benefits, being put up at 2.1 billion a year in hotels, not contributing to society, leaving mess on the streets and causing crime.
I mean, how many would actually, if they could afford it, get out of Britain? It's like you want to stay, you want to fight and everything else, but then, you can live a much better life if you're out of it.
I know, but some
I don't
people,
know. I mean,
some people aren't built to run away. There's one of the posters. These colours don't run. Sorry, guys.
I mean, even before the problems, etc., that we face now, most people would have given that a thought anyway for better weather, etc.
Well, the thing
Brits
is,
have been moving to Spain for decades, haven't they?
where can you go without there being a language problem and without this problem being there as well?
Yeah. Not many
So
places now, is
what's
there?
the point in putting yourself through like one of the top 10 stressors in life, which is moving, and then to a country where you're going to have to learn a language? It's not easy to do that at all, right?
No.
And then you do all that, which is extremely stressful, and you find that you've got the same problem there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you don't know anyone there.
It won't be funny, but you can see
Starting
it
your
now.
life all
Hang
over
on.
again.
To answer Stephen's question, look at 2C, look at the likes of Banksy, Big Nose. All these Iranians came here to flee from all that anyway, and they've come here, and now it's coming here. So you keep running, you're going to keep getting followed. You need to stand and fight. There comes a point where you can't.
Hang on a minute. Banksy came here as a child. Nose isn't Iranian. And who was the other one you mentioned? 2C. He came here as a child as well, didn't he?
Anyone from the Middle East that's fled because of this kind of atrocities, which I'm sure they've all mentioned, either them or their parents, for a better life. That's what I'm saying. You can't keep running. You have to stop and fight.
The thing is, no one from this country has ever done that. Like World War One, World War Two, we stayed and we rebuilt ourselves. So why are we letting people run away from their problems instead of solving their own? They're never learning from their problems, so they're always having these wars every now and again in the Middle East. They need to just like stay where they are and rebuild and reflect and learn from it. We should stop taking these people in. No one took us in. We rebuilt ourselves. End of.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Very true. We've
As
tried.
AJ says, NIAC did as well.
Yeah, well, I say we've tried to help these countries, haven't we? We've tried to give them
More than
education.
anyone's ever tried to help us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We've given them education, we've given them medicine, we've given them infrastructure, law, and all sorts to try and do exactly what you just said, LTG. But it doesn't happen, does it? That's the thing. They don't seem to want to grasp it for themselves.
And those
Mel is an
countries,
English
when
woman
you
and proud. That's the way we should be. Be proud that we're English.
absolutely,
I mean, as British people, we kind of have that kind of warrior spirit within us. It's kind of instilled into us from all the stories of the wars and the battles throughout our history and our past. So we kind of,
yeah,
have that warrior
it's
spirit
still
installed into us.
It's actually an
it's
island
still
thing. No, it's an island spirit. If you look at other islands like Japan, us.
what it is it's stoicism, and we're raised with that. You know, it's the make do with what you've got, make do and mend. It's not
Mm.
put your hand out and plead and cry and feel sorry for yourself. It's like, yeah, this is bad, but saying, yeah, this is bad doesn't solve the problem. Okay, what else can we do? Right, we've got to try and fix this, try and fix that, and keep moving forward, isn't it? It's logical
Yeah.
to do that. It's more logic mind than emotional mind, is what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you look at like the Middle East, look, human history throughout the world, it's not good. But the Middle East never seems to learn.
Mm.
And it's countries like, say, Egypt is another one. Like when we supposedly colonized the world, which no, we did not. India and Egypt, both countries that asked us to help them. And they didn't ask us as a country, they asked private individuals. Okay, so those private individuals went in and helped them. Like, say, with Egypt, it was to help them because they were always going bankrupt, because they were always corrupt. So they were always ending up in serious debt, right? So they asked our experts to go in and help them. They went in, they helped them, they turned it around, and they went to come home and they were begged to stay. So they did. Reluctantly, they stayed. And the Egyptians could never get out of this loop of always being corrupt because someone had gone in and helped them. They didn't work their way through and learn the lessons themselves, right? India,
Yeah.
we went in there because we were asked to go in there. Private individuals. They ended up there was certain religions that had been banned because it's a tyrannical country, India. It's terrible. The mindset. Um there was certain religions that were peaceful, benign, had been banned. They ended up being set free. Our experts were clearing out the tyranny and all this. Similar story to Egypt, the corruption and all the rest of it. They were tidying it up, and we were asked to stay. And
Yeah.
of course, you've got private individuals who see business opportunities. There wasn't like extreme exploitation that at the time wasn't accepted worldwide, generally speaking. Right? Of course, there was exploitations, but nothing like what we see, like, say, out of African leaders towards their own people. They were horrendous, right? Um, and we came out, and the countries started going back to their own old ways because they didn't learn the lessons themselves. They asked us to go in and sort it out for them. Okay.
Yeah.
No one's ever come into our country to sort it out for us. We've had to learn our lessons and sort through it. And that's passed down the generations. So that's what makes us a first world country. Like, we're first to achieve the vast majority of things that have been achieved by mankind. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Going having a look at the slavery thing, right? We've got throughout English human history is slavery everywhere in the world. Okay, you've got the black African slaves. They were actually comparatively speaking, compared to all the slaves throughout the recorded history of the world, certainly, they were the best treated and most expensive slaves. You've got no one talking about the slavery that went on in Ireland, how all those families were torn apart. You had the women and children put on certain ships, you had the men put on other ships, okay, and
And
they
that
were
was quite
sent over
recent
to
as well,
America.
wasn't it?
And most of them didn't make it to America. I don't know if you've heard the term, but it's called coffin ships. That comes from the Irish slaves who were the worst treated throughout recorded history. They died on those ships going over to
Yeah.
the Caribbean and, other parts of America.
Well,
So
I
the
mean,
entire narrative is distorted, and it's because it continues these people who go around with a chip on their shoulder that call themselves minorities in this country. Well, of course, they're a minority. They weren't designed to live here, but they come from these same countries that have always had someone go in and solve their problems for them. They've never lived through it and learnt from it in the thick of it, sort of thing, like what we've had to do. No one came to our rescue.
yeah, I mean, regarding slavery, I'm pretty sure Veach on Tufts yesterday said something about Britain trying to stop the slavery in the 1700s, I think it was.
Christians has always abolished slavery.
Didn't he say,
Yes.
didn't he say that 20,000 young men lost their lives abolishing slavery or something like that? And that's where they, started having wars with America because they didn't like the idea or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say, going back to what Lieutenant said about the girls in Ireland, I mean, that was going on quite recently as well, wasn't it? I'm sure that was up until even the Georgian or Victorian times, wasn't it? They were still being used in Ireland, as far as I've seen programmes about. But yeah, slavery's gone on all around the world. I say the only religion where it's continued unbroken is Islam. Look at the women now that have to live under slavery, for example.
Hello, Banksy, and welcome. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's. Didn't someone say Pakistan still has a lot of slaves, a hell of a lot?
Well, every woman, I suppose, is Islamic is basically a slave, aren't they? I mean, I told you I knew an English woman that married a Muslim years ago, and she was locked in her house for about 12 years. I think they had a son. He got taken away to Pakistan or somewhere over there. She lost him for 4 years, managed to get him back and, get out of the house and escape, etc. And she told me her story, and that was coming from a white English woman that's lived through it.
I guess people don't give us a lot of credit for trying to abolish slavery. I mean, when someone mentions abolishing slavery, the first one that gets any credit is Abraham Lincoln, isn't it? Because that's pretty much the only history that's been told and what people know about. Let me just bring up Banksy. He's waiting backstage. Hello, Banksy. Welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Banksy.
I hope everyone's well. Thanks for doing the stream, guys. I didn't know you guys did panels and stuff as well. I thought you guys were on the road.
One Gen does a weekly quiz which we go on, but I haven't done a stream on here for several months. So I thought I'd start doing them again and open it up.
Nice. Lieutenant, as always, love you. You're the best. She is the best, guys. She truly is. I swear.
Love you too. Yeah, hang on a minute. He's switched from Ayatollah to Indiana Jones. What's going on? Is this an identity crisis?
I could switch back if you like. I think I was on a different panel, and the thing is, the Americans, the minute you have something like this, they have a visceral reaction. So
I love it. That's so much better. I'll get me whiteboard so I can speak to you now.
Before I met Banksy and I saw this picture, I actually thought he was a proper imam. Honestly,
better. Oh my god.
That's the Afghan version.
When I first went to that channel, I thought you were a proper imam. Some of the things you were coming out with.
Mel says, I've heard of you, but never heard from you. There you go.
Oh, hello, Mel.
Him now.
Yeah.
He's right here with all his wisdom.
God forbid.
Well, I've just dropped his link, so click on it, go over there, subscribe, and come back quickly.
Yeah, no, thanks. As I say, we were talking earlier about people running away from all this Islamist stuff that's going on, and how people have run away from it in the past, from the Middle East, to Britain, for example. I say, I'm sure I've heard you mention it. Was it with your parents or something before? Like, didn't they leave because of issues?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you be happy to share your story, just because it was a subject a little while ago?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been harping on about this stuff for 25 years now. It's us foreigners, us if you like, Muslims or people from Muslim countries. We're the ones who've been screaming at the top of our lungs. We do not want this religion to be dominant in this country. I mean, Islam is fine as long as it's in the margins, but the minute it starts to get a foothold, because everybody thinks this is where the Islamists hide best. And by the way, Sam Harris wrote this in his book, The End of Faith. If you guys want to go ahead, I mean, it's amazing that book hasn't brought a fatwa upon his head, because if Salman Rushdie gets a fatwa for the satanic verses, then Sam Harris should have had 12 fatwas on his head for that book, because if you read the section on Islam, it's scathing. It's really cuts really deep. But no, because Muslims don't read that book, so they don't give a shit. No Ayatollah has ever picked up Sam Harris's book, so Sam Harris got away with what he said. But the fact is, Islam is fine when it's in the minority group, when it's in a small minority sort of status within a land. Muslims, your uncle, your Mr. Habib at your local corner shop doesn't have a problem. He can go ahead and do his thing and live his life. But I'm not worried about Mr. Habib at the corner shop. I'm worried about the Dawa gangs and the ones who run the Shia mosque at Kilburn, the ones who are all over. I'm actually genuinely worried about people like Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa. These are the people who will put the sword to your neck once they get in power, because they're the ones who stem from the Muslim Brotherhood, who is the political arm of global jihad.
I think he did a post on Next, didn't he, a few days ago, Hajib, something about the caliphate, about how this is the beginning of it or something.
I mean, you think you guys got problems right now? Wait till Muslims exceed 10% of the population. I've been saying it for so long, and it will come the day where you will see, because unfortunately Europe and the liberals in Europe seem to be hell-bent on a suicide mission of cultural extinction. And you will see how Muslims will behave when they exceed 10%. They're only at 6 or 7% now, and this is you getting your grooming gangs and you're getting all of this crap. Wait till they reach 10% plus. You will see a massive shift in the Islamists' attitude, not the Muslim, because again, Mr. Habib or the corner shop is going to carry on being Mr. Habib in the corner shop. He's not really he doesn't give a crap. He's just trying to make a living and wants his kids to go to school. But he will stand silent in the background whilst the Islamists put the sword into your neck. He's not going to jump in front of the sword and he's going to protect you. No, this is my Christian brethren. No. He will stand. He will just simply be the. You know how every time there's a debate about Islam, people go, yeah, but what about the silent majority of Muslims? Yeah, those silent majority are just going to stay silent. They're not going to do anything. It's the 3 to 5% of the fanatics who are going to push the agenda. They're the ones who are going to be the ISIS. They're the ones who are going to be the Al-Qaedas in your society.
Did you watch the Tufts and Veach interview?
Yes.
What do you think about what he said about Bradford, Bolton?
It was fascinating.
I think that could well happen.
Well, that would be a potential possibility. I mean, the possibility is there for sure, given the numbers and what we're dealing with, because I think they were talking. I think there was another show something else that I saw about. It was actually Alex Phillips, the lady on Talk Radio. She was talking about it only took 3,000 Hamas fighters to do what they did in October 7th. Now imagine we have over 50 or 60,000 Islamist jihadists on the watch list of this government. If they suddenly kick off, You think the police can handle that? No constabulary can control 50, 60,000 people just kicking off all of a sudden, arson bombing buildings and all of that.
RBA mentioned that earlier about the terror watch list, but then if you add to that a lot of these unvetted ones that have come in, it's going to exceed 100,000, let's say, for fighting.
Exactly.
And do you know what our numbers are at the minute for our military? 75,000. So once they send them off to war to fight in the stupid war that we shouldn't be in Ukraine or Israel, where's that going to leave our country?
You're screwed.
Defense?
You're screwed. So that's the thing. And also on the flip side of this, you're essentially encouraging because the Europeans have been worried about their dwindling birth rates for a long time. This has been a reality. Essentially white Europeans are not having kids, so they brought in all these people in order to buffer or beef up the population numbers in order to keep the GDP running. But the people the children that are being raised are not being raised as loyal patriots of these lands. They are not joining the armies. They're not joining the military. They're not going to join the civil services of this country unless it's beneficial to them. They'll join certain civil services like immigration, because then they'll just rubber stamp all their cousins and family members all day long. But they won't join anything dangerous. They're not going to go out and put their neck out for Britain, for Germany, for Sweden.
Yeah, so they're all being raised inside. Is it a militant ideology? Call it the.
Yeah, but they're being raised in ghettos of their own culture. They're not. You see, there's a line in the first Superman movie, which it just keeps coming up into my brain every time I talk about Islam. There's a line where Jor-El, Superman's father, says, "Although you may look like them and you live amongst them, you are not one of them." And to me, that is Islam, just straight down the line. Every Muslim that you will ever see, Islamist Muslims who practice their faith, who teach their children their faith and are absolutely adamant about it, that line fits them perfectly. Although they live amongst you and although they may look like you, they are not of you. They're not one of you. They're just living parallel lives to you.
So Nick said in chat here, when you say Islam is fine, which part? Genital mutilation, child marriage, multiple marriages, jihad.
You said this?
This was someone called Nick in chat. I think that was a question to Banksy.
Well,
he said Islam
the thing is, when I say fine, I mean not Islam. Islam is never fine. Islam to me is as fine as communism, Stalinism, the little mustache man. It's not fine as an ideology. When I say that, I guess I have to be more accurate. Muslims can be fine. Muslims can be separated from Islam because Muslims can ignore most of the tenets of Islam and just live along with other people. But Islam will never be fine with your society, with Western values. It is antithetical to Western civilization. It's antithetical to Western philosophy of life, liberty, and all of those things. It is not compatible with that.
I say, living under the current climate of DEI, etc., my next question is, will Islam, can it ever be liberalised? Do you think it would ever be liberalised?
It can if it's under a strict dictatorship like Saudi Arabia and Emirate nations. If you look at Islam in those contexts, but that they have a guy with a hammer that can drop at any time. You know what I mean? They've got Mohammed bin Salman. They've got the sheikhs in Dubai. They control that environment with an iron fist, and they absolutely crush those fanatical Islamists.
Well, they kicked out the country, didn't they? I remember the Saudi prince saying that I can't remember the word he used, but he kicked out, was it 100,000 Muslim Brotherhood or something? And they're the ones that he said he sees on the boats coming to the UK.
Exactly.
And he said that himself. So
exactly. No, Islam couldn't exist in a democracy because Islam will then consume that democracy. And by the way, there's a difference between overtake the democracy or consume. There's a guy in India, I saw a lecture once. He says Islam doesn't just simply supplant or live along with another society, with another philosophy of how to live. It consumes it in the sense that it literally eats it up and then replaces what was there. So it doesn't merge with it. Because if something merges with something else, there is an essence of the old thing still there. It's just this new thing has now merged with it, so it's the two things make a new thing. That's not what Islam does. Islam consumes the old world, the old culture, and simply dominates over it. So there's nothing left of the old world. I mean, the Egyptians, despite their thousands of years of history, despite their damn pyramids, the modern Egyptian thinks he's a friggin' Arab. You ask an Egyptian, what are you? He says, I'm an Arab. You're not an Arab. You've never been an Arab. Arabs don't accept you as Arabs. So how is it that the Egyptian is so indoctrinated, so essentially Stockholm syndrome? I mean, I just think the Muslim world suffers from a massive case of Stockholm syndrome. An Egyptian thinks he's a Saudi.
Yeah, no, it is Stockholm syndrome that's been mentioned before. I mean, well, I say you said about consuming, you can see that happening in front of your very eyes, all the historical things that they've destroyed in the past, our churches now, even over here.
They will replace everything. They'll replace your language, they'll replace your reading and writing, they'll replace your books, they'll replace everything.
There was some cave system of houses, wasn't there, in Egypt or somewhere as well, that they destroyed. And I think luckily they had a 3D image of it or something that they took. This is within the last 10 years. That I say that they destroyed, and it held a lot of historical, knowledge that we need to keep. And that's obviously all gone now. So you're absolutely right when you say about that.
Look at the Nubian Buddhas in Afghanistan. The Taliban just blew them away. Thousands of years old, literally World Heritage sites. They just dynamited the lot because it's pagan. They don't care. They don't care about history. They don't care about your culture. They're not here to live as funny enough, Conor McGregor says, they're not here to participate. They're here to take over. That's the that's the plan.
I can see it. That's the thing. But just so many people, for some reason, can't see it yet. It hasn't affected them personally, so they're blind. They turn a blind eye to it.
I advise those people to read the contents of what Muslims go by, the so-called Quran, which is actually Ravayat, which translates into the word narration. It's not the Quran doesn't exist, but get them to read that book and think about it every step of the way through. Is this good, what's being said here? Is this compatible with our way of life? Like, go out and destroy the unbelievers and stuff like this. And then look at what they're reading and take a look around at today's Muslims and see that it's exactly the same that's being played out. And look at everywhere else in the world that Islam has been throughout its history. And see
it's true.
that it's exactly the same as the barbaric stuff in that book.
Well, I think it's just hilarious that people haven't actually took the time to read it or learn it themselves. I mean, I know I've only brushed over parts of it thanks to you and a few others, but I mean, it was just hilarious seeing, and it always happens. We're based in Bougie, interviewed a black guy, and he was all for Palestine, etc. He's like, you do realise they see you the same as a dog, and that you should be a slave. And I like their face. Like, it happens every time you tell that to a black person that supports Palestine. The ones that don't know. And it's just like
the cognitive dissonance is unbelievable. I was at Pride on Saturday. Sorry, I was at Pride on Saturday. The whole, London was Pride. There were people shouting "Free Palestine" at the Pride event. I'm like, do you know what you're asking here? Yeah. How many gay people do you think you can find in Gaza?
Didn't you have your quiz for Palestine?
And all that gays for Palestine, etc.
That's yours, isn't it? Quiz for Palestine. Didn't you bring those signs out?
To be honest with you, some of that stuff to me is just cognitive dissonance and just performative nonsense. These idiots don't have a clue. They don't have a clue that every one of those people at Pride would be instantly executed by Hamas.
It happened in Iran, didn't it? It happened in Iran when the lefties and the queers all sided with them over there, didn't they? And they were the first ones that got ended.
100%. The thing is,
they're all part of that. They're all part of that mind frame of everyone can live together in peace and harmony and world peace and all of that.
Idiots.
to them, they think, oh, it's absolutely fine, gays for Palestine, etc. Until they actually go over there and get, thrown off the top of a building.
I love the way they were treated, the way they were treated in Egypt, and that little group who tried to go to Gaza through Egypt. That to me just exemplifies exactly the difference between what these idiots in Europe are thinking and what the Egyptians are. The Egyptians don't give a shit about your liberal bullshit. They don't give a crap about your freedom of speech. They don't have any of that shit over there. You guys went over there with these idiots went over there with like European mindsets of freedoms that they enjoy over here, and the way the police, treats them with kid glove, and they thought the Egyptians were just going to do the same shit to them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. But it sounds funny.
It's the fantasy island of ideologues, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's exactly the same, by the way, as these morons from Canada who go. There was two idiots, vegans from Canada, who tried to cycle through the Middle East, and then they got beheaded by ISIS, and they're wondering, they're like, oh no, they literally were posting on Facebook, the people around the world are all the same. Everybody's loving and caring, and then they were immediately executed. Talk about F around and find out. Unfortunately, the only regret I have is that they're dead and they don't actually they're not alive to regret the shit they did. If I would have preferred if they tortured them and then sent them back to Canada so there could be a warning to all Canadians.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to listen to them harp on about you shouldn't be eating cows. And I'm sorry, I've got a freezer full of steak. It's never going to happen. So I'm all right without 2 more vegans in the world. Sorry.
It's just sorry. I mean, there was literally a couple, I think they were Spanish. They were in India and they raped the wife in front of the husband. And they beat them up and raped the wife. And they were still saying, don't judge India badly. Like, what are you talking about? Are you insane? Your wife literally was abused in front of you, and you're still batting for the. Oh no, but it's not everyone. Yeah, we all know it's not everyone. Nothing in the world is everything. You can't say all sharks will bite you, but I'm not swimming in shark-infested waters anytime soon.
I mean, it just proves that it's mental illness. I mean, it gets said a lot, but I mean, there's so many things like that happen that prove to you that it probably bloody is, madness. It's madness.
Yeah, Mel, I haven't seen any comment come up.
Oh, what happened? You're looking for something. Look, one thing I will say, and
Mel's
this
got a
one.
You, Hafiz.
Oh, okay. This one I do blame the white man. The white man did too good of a job in the basics, providing the basics for its citizens. It protected them, it fed them, it clothed them, it housed them. It met all the Maslow's needs of hierarchy of needs. And you did a damn good job. And unfortunately, I think you did too good of a job. You should have made these assholes suffer a little bit. I think every child that grows up in a semi-middle class family has to suffer for at least 3 years of their life brutally, just so they realize how good they freaking have it in these countries. You should send them to live in Somalia or some shit for 3 years, just so they understand.
We forget how good we have it sometimes.
Exactly.
Take it for granted.
Exactly. The fact that you have a meal every night, you go to sleep with a full stomach and a roof over your head and warm clothes, you don't realize how many people don't have that. No. Just that. Meal in their, food in their belly, a warm place to sleep, and fresh clothes. Millions of people don't have that in the world.
I was always brought up with there's always somebody worse off than you, no matter how bad you think you've got it. Really, sometimes in this country, there's always somebody worse off somewhere else around the world.
I mean, I often go through stages where I'm like, I'm in hardship, hard times, or I hate my life, and I think to myself, well, actually, I'm not really that hard up. I've got a roof over my head. There's food in the fridge. It's more than what a lot of people get.
Exactly.
So now I always think of that, and I think of what it's like in these third world countries, etc. How lucky we actually are with the little things that we do take for granted.
Oh, it's unbelievable how much we take for granted. I actually just few weeks back, I watched this TV show that was on, and it's been cancelled, called Dracula. It's like a couple of seasons of it, and the end sort of. But what happened is, right at the end of Dracula, because it all starts off from Dracula, the original from Transylvania, back in like whatever 1800s or whatever it was. But Dracula ends up in a coffin in the middle of the sea for about 100 years, and then he wakes up and he's dragged onto land or whatever in the 21st century. And he ends up in some person's house, some person like living on council benefits, because it's all in England. It's all set up in England. And he talks about how marvelous this house is, the miracles that you have. The richest person in the world during his time couldn't afford the marvels that he has. And the woman's like, what are you talking about? This is a shithole.
Is it a comedy program?
No, it's got tongue-in-cheek moments, but it's meant to be a serious, like, Dracula movie.
I'll say, have you seen the old film Idiocracy? You remember that one?
Which one?
It's called Idiocracy.
Oh yeah, the movie. That's I love that movie.
Yeah, yes. you know the one where the wrestlers become the president and they get cryogenically frozen and come back in the future.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to grow crops because they're feeding it with brand.
Yeah, everybody's just gone it. The thing is,
I recommend everyone to watch that, because so much stuff in that is coming true now.
Yeah, the tagline on that movie now recently has been the satirical comedy that has become a documentary.
Yeah, no, well, I watched it years ago, and I think it's a hilarious film, but so many things in that.
I haven't seen it.
Well, I even watched like, I think it was The Running Man a couple of weeks ago, and you watch that, and there's so much stuff that they talk about in that. And that, bearing in mind, that was what, 80s? That was an 80s film, wasn't it? And you listen to that, even Total Recall, all the things that they try and bring out that comes true. It's all in movies first. You just got to find these movies that they're trying to ban, and so many movies are getting like cut now and edited so that they miss out certain bits, to not bring up racism and things that were allowed to be said in the 80s. If you get an old VHS tape and watch the movie and then watch what they try and show you now on some of these bloody TV, streaming sites or whatever, there's bits that have been remastered and cut out, because there's certain bits I remember from certain films. I think, that was a hilarious bit or something. It's not in it anymore.
The funny thing is, The Running Man is actually from an adaptation from a book that is very deep and incredibly it's got a lot of satirical aspects of possible like dystopian futures. So it's a very George Orwell-y kind of book. It's much deeper. They've actually done a remake of it now, and they're going to release another version which is going to explore the original story a bit more in depth than the Arnie
DEI version, is it?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people are like, because I follow people like Critical Drinker and Nerderotic. These are the like movie critics guys online, and it's a bit of a hit and miss. A lot of people from the trailers can't quite tell whether but it's nothing like the Arnie one. It's very different from the Arnie one. It's not going to follow the Arnie path, if you like. That was because the Arnie one, they essentially took the original story and cut huge amounts out of it and just sort of streamlined it for an action movie, whilst this one is going to cover a little bit more of the politics of that story.
I mean, do you know who's going to show it though? Because I mean, I'm so dubious now with a lot of these.
I don't know who made it.
They just don't show things properly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's being liberalised, DEI,
Oh yeah, there's loads. I mean, I follow this show called Sandman, and literally season 2, there's an entire episode about a trans woman, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with our story. It didn't advance the story in any shape or form. It's just they stuck a trans thing in there.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It is happening a lot, I think, in a lot of movies. You have to really, you can find like all the old actors, the ones like Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the main good actors from the 80s going into the 90s. And do you remember they had a big gap of about 10 years where they didn't make films? Remember there was no Oscars in America. There was a big thing going on, wasn't there, around that time, and they all just stopped making movies because I think a lot of them went against this DEI protocol of how they're going to be making movies now. But now they're bringing out movies by private companies, private production teams that are making these movies with them in, and there's a hell of a lot of these movies coming out with like these old actors that you find on Netflix or you'll find on Amazon or some of these other platforms. and they're actually quite good. Like even Clint Eastwood, if you look at some of Clint Eastwood's last films, you know, and some of the things he got away with saying, you know, like stacking the gooks 10 foot high and on, you know, and things like that. And it's just funny comedy and good to say, but you know, they kind of stopped them all doing it. So Clint Eastwood, as an example, started producing his own films, didn't he? So he could say what he wanted in it, and it just kind of died off.
That is, one thing I have to say, when I'm looking at the kind of stuff that's being produced with AI, I don't know if you guys seen these videos. I follow this crazy series of videos where it's the Yeti or the gorilla. It's an AI gorilla, and he just does comedy stuff. It's kind of like college humor, American college humor, but I love that crap, so I swallow it up. But generally, a lot of the videos that I'm making with AI now, it's getting better and better all the time. And I think there will, I would say within the next 5 to 6 years, even, maybe not even 10 years, there are going to be entire movies made purely through AI.
AI and CGI. I mean, I've always been kind of against CGI because one thing I used to love about old films, for someone that doesn't travel much around the world, was when they used to get the production companies that went out and did the westerns, or they went to these other countries, and you get a nice pan shot of the country and you get to see what it's like. But as soon as they started introducing CGI, you can just see how fake and perfect and extra blue the sea looks, and how, you know, just crap it looks. And I really don't like it. I know it's good for sci-fi movies and other things. It has helped him, but for a lot of the old movies, I used to like the fact they used to have to spend millions on a production team going to a country to film in the actual country, whereas now, where have all those millions gone? I mean, I used to do location security work on films, and as an example, a production for a standard film in the UK, would, you know, without any main big actors, is about 40 million. And then I did, for example, Fast and the Furious 6, where their budget is like nearer 600 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's true.
In what's being
the thing is crazy though. Like even AI music is coming a long way, isn't it, Lieutenant?
Lieutenant herself, she's one of our talented creators on that front. But the thing is,
my expertise, nothing to do with AI.
But the thing is, what I'm interested in is the fact that, like you said, these massive studios, and to be honest, for a long time now, I mean, in fact, most of movie history, these studios have had monopoly over who can produce films. What I'm interested with this AI is that a guy in his bedroom could make an entire movie through his own imagination that would never get a green light from a major studio production, and and so we are going to see, hopefully, some incredibly unusual films that would never be produced. Sorry?
I don't know if Zen's still in the comments, but she introduced me to I think it was called Love, War and Robots. I might be wrong, but if she can correct me. And it was a series of short films of exactly that. You're only allowed to use, I think it was I can't remember the 3 things you're allowed to use to make these films, but it was AI, cartoon, animation, and something else that was arty. I'm wondering if she is still. That's it. Love, Death and Robots.
Love, Death, Robots.
Yeah, if you search them, it's a series of short films, and some of them are as wacky as hell. I mean, we had a great evening watching some of them.
Yeah, because if you like you said, like Clint Eastwood and others are not able to produce films that they used to anymore because the studios are all about DEI. So what's going to happen is that, like I'll give you an example. Like the movie Fight Club, it would never be made again in this era, because it was so sort of out of the box, and it was just also subversive towards governments and towards
Fight
Club,
Brad Pitt, that one.
Brilliant
that's
film.
the one.
Yeah.
Beautiful, amazing movie, but I don't think it would ever be made in this era again because it just doesn't fit the narrative that they want to push. So these sort of things will then be created through AI, where films that studios will never greenlight will still be made, and will still have that. I'm hoping, and I'm a glass full half full kind of guy. I'm hoping that this era of AI video and production will blow up an entire new genre of media.
The thing is even with AI videos, it's going to be incredibly costly to make. I think there's a site that does all AI clips. I did a video about how woke it was. I think it was in video or something, AI, and people are getting making YouTube channels where it's just purely AI, little movies, animated movies and stuff. They get millions of subs and it's all just AI generated, but it costs an absolute fortune.
I don't like a lot of AI stuff. I think it's fun for cartoony kind of funny things, but when people try and use it to pull the wool over your eyes and make it look like something real, I can see it a mile off. And even with some of the AI pictures, I just think they look so bloody AI.
Yeah, but you can see it now. Give it 5 years. Give it 5 years. I promise you, certainly 5 years. I don't even think it'll go beyond that. You won't be able to tell the difference anymore.
It might be like the mini CD player. It might just be a quick fad.
Well, it's like it's the same. It's the same with the music. I mean, people say they can tell it's AI generated, but I have to question myself when I hear a song now. Is it real? Is it AI? Because I can't genuinely tell the difference on a lot of them.
I can't. I think the attendance songs are brilliant. Some of them, and you wouldn't have thought they were AI. You know.
No,
I mean, I remember. Hang on, just quickly. I remember years ago when we used to make the house and garage music and all the rest of it in a mate's bedroom, and he'd have about 10 keyboards, you know, stacks of 4 around his room, synthesizers, bass machines, all these different bloody things just to make music. Yeah, when you think where it's gone from and where it's come to today, I mean, the music to me sounds pretty the same. I mean, Lieutenant does some really nice songs, and you wouldn't really know the difference to all the old equipment we used to use years ago.
Well, that's the thing. When I first started hearing AI music, you know, like certain channels, I think the first time I ever really heard one was on DJ Audits when he started making songs about his channel. And I actually thought someone had done that for him. And then I realised further down the line it was actually AI generated. Like, I've played around with it myself. It's like, you know, it's fairly simple to do as well. To a certain extent. And,
I mean, I've created a bunch of stuff just for my intros and outros because I've always had problems with getting copyright claims for my intros and outros, and finding like free songs from stock songs and stuff. It was hard. The YouTube ones are okay, but the problem is I found like songs in other places, and with other free songs, it tells you it's free, copyright free, and it is for a while, but then the producer of that song can then monetize it after, like, let's say a year down the line, and then suddenly all your videos a year ago that you put the song on a year ago suddenly get copyright claims on them. I had like a bunch of videos all of a sudden get copyright claims one after the other because the person I used the music for decided to now it's no longer available for copyright.
I had that
for free
as well. I had some great videos on some old channels, and I had the perfect music and everything. And then later down the line, like you say, you know, copyright strike. I was like, oh, for God's sake.
I mean, seeing as all of you three make music on AI, can you make like the kind of music I put in my video, my last video from yesterday, whenever it was, you know, like the kind of orchestral, tranquil kind of music?
See,
can you make those kind of bits of music as well?
I haven't been able to find that yet. I mean, I was trying myself when I was making my song, trying to get that epic theme tune, like you're watching like I say, a Game of Thrones battle scene or something with all that epic music pumping. And I couldn't find a way to do it. I'm pretty sure that option's going to come, and it's probably going to come very soon. If you try to
put in your AI, because I created some stuff, and I think they're pretty decent from like news broadcast style, kind of orchestral music. That came out really good. And then I tried to create Rule Britannia, and I use the actual words for Rule Britannia and also an instrumental, and that didn't come out too bad actually. It came out, some of the like orchestral stuff was actually quite, because you put in Rule Britannia and the genre that Rule Britannia kind of falls in, and then you put all of those elements into your
You've just accidentally muted yourself there.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. I do apologize. But just take an epic old like Jerusalem and look at the genre that falls into, and then put all of those prompts into your into your AI, and it actually comes out pretty good. You'll be surprised.
Like or something, like use a popular one, you reckon?
There's a website somewhere that gives you all the prompts to sound like all the famous artists and bands. It's like I was playing around with it, trying to make a St. George's Day video, and I looked online for how do I get it to sound like Ed Sheeran style. And I found a website that listed all the big bands, all the famous singers and that. and what styles to input. So I just put in the styles that they had under Ed Sheeran, and
There
it
you
sounded like Ed Sheeran. It was like, so they are out there.
Yeah, you just got to get the right prompts, and you can
Have to
actually get what you need.
find the name of it.
Can we stop training people on how to use the AI though? Because I want to do this.
we're ruining Lieutenant's business here.
Oh, damn it! I found a gap in the market and now it's closed.
At least you're one of the first from the gap in the market. It's always better to be the first, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm still enjoying it regardless. You know what I mean? Still enjoying it. So I'm starting to learn how to actually make all those sounds myself and how to compile them. Because I've started going to this music production course. So that's what, like, AI, I'm more comfortable with it now. So I've got loads of stuff that I haven't used yet. You know how when you ask it to generate you a song, it gives you two. And well, they could be rubbish. And something you've seen it yourself, Dave. Like we ended up with 18 when we made yours, and you shortlisted it and then picked out that one, right?
Yeah.
So that can happen a lot. And so let's say, for example, there's 17 out of 18 that I don't use, but they've got some really nice music in them. So I'm starting to play around with those at the minute, use those things up. I mean, there's some that I won't use at all. They were just that naff because the AI isn't that good. But the ones that are good, I'm starting to use them. So I'm making more instrumental, non-lyrical tunes that you would hear in a club, you know.
Yeah, that's how I think I need it, because I put all that video together yesterday and I've spent so much time on it and chose all the copyright free music, etc., etc. I uploaded it to bloody YouTube, and then the first bloody bit of music in it is copyrighted, so it's unmonetized and it's getting loads of views. But I'm not too fast. It's a good video, but yeah, I need more orchestral battle kind of music.
That's what I need to find as well. I pop that link into chat there, which just gives you that site with the list of, you know, getting them to sound like whoever. But I see there's a new version come out on that Suno now, and yeah, I haven't played around with the new version yet.
Sorry, whereabouts in the chat?
It's always updating.
Oh, I see. Real British Media. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna grab that.
That's the website I found. It literally lists the styles for all of the famous singers. You just pop that in and it should sound like...
That might help you as well, Lieutenant, I guess, unless you've found it already.
Yeah, I'll have a look at it for sure.
That's what I say.
When there's a song that I like, I don't want to sound like anything anyone's ever done, but I will go and have a look at that song and find out the styles and the genres that have been used there, because I need to learn what these certain sounds come from. All I've ever known is what I like the sound of and what I like to dance to, what I like to chill to, and all the rest of it. I don't know any of the terminology, so that's what I'm having to learn. So actually, this will be very useful, Steve. Thanks.
Every day is a learning day.
Yeah, I haven't played around with it too much. Like I said, I took the Ed Sheeran one, put it in, and it sounded like Ed Sheeran. I thought, oh great, but I haven't tried any of the others yet. I think I tried the Queen one, but I didn't think that one really worked as much. So some might be hit and miss, but it's a good, it's a good little list. But yeah, like you say, one gen, I need the epic music as well. Because that's my favourite style of music. Like, if I was to listen to music to feel, you know, clean in the house or something, I would put on epic, like, soundtracks. Because I love the epic soundtrack music. So, and that's exactly what I want for my videos as well. So I need to find a way to make that also using AI. So,
anthems, maybe. A lot of them try and market it as anthems, don't they?
Well,
that kind of music as well.
Well, when I looked into it, epic music came under orchestral. Like orchestral band, but yeah.
I mean,
you could then elaborate by entering certain instruments that you want to hear more of in the finished piece.
Yeah.
What I found, what you can also do, which is a little shortcut for me, was I go through Nuna's own list of all the different music. You know, I search for like the type of music I want, and then there's a whole bunch of people who've already created it, and you can see their prompts and what they use to create that type of music, and I just copy their prompts and just stick it into mine.
Yeah,
and tweak it.
And that's the way. That's the way of learning as well, I suppose. Is
how other people have done it,
yeah.
and then tweak it to your own.
It's like how I used to learn how to use YouTube when I used to run a metal detecting channel years ago. I used to go around YouTube at other people doing the same kind of stuff, looking at all their tags, what tags they put in, and then copying them. It's like anything, really, isn't it?
Exactly. And the thing is, again, for me, I'm excited because this is like, for example, look at someone like Lieutenant. Now, I don't know if Lieutenant, you know how to play any kind of musical instruments, but nowadays you can create all these massive, sort of music without knowing even how to play a single instrument, without even knowing music composition or how to do this. It's just opened up the opportunities for so many people to be creative. And that's what I'm excited about, is that what people are going to come up with. There'll be some of it will be insane, but some of it I think will be just amazing. I think that's going to happen with movies. It's going to happen with videos. It's going to be the same as you guys are creating music now. You just put a whole movie together. I would imagine that'll be a lot longer.
I think you're right. I mean, YouTube, in some respects, might be the stepping stone between the two, because it gave people a platform to, I guess, be creative and do their own thing. But it kind of came on the back of Big Brother and reality TV, really, didn't it?
Exactly.
To start with, and then obviously you get people that spend more time doing movies and that. But yeah, you're right. So you can. It's good. It's good to actually have this, because you need to have alternatives to what the mainstream are throwing down.
Exactly. Because you know that Hollywood is going to only put its money into certain types of things, and it's going to have an agenda behind it. It's going to try and promote certain things and not other things. And so certain movies wouldn't be made anymore. Certain movies and certain genres will never be made anymore, because Hollywood won't put their money into it. But now the regular folk can do it. I mean, I can only imagine. I can only imagine the kind of Superman and Batman movies that are going to come out, which won't be in the hands of studios. That will be fan-made stuff. I saw a fan-made Star Wars movie on YouTube like a year ago. It was better than any Star Wars movie they've made in the last 10 years.
Really? I'd like to watch it. That's how I was to say earlier. The only one I can remember that's actually carried on or kept his style, and I really like it, is Guy Ritchie. If you look at some of the stuff Guy Ritchie's been putting out, especially recently in the last 3, 4, 5 years, like a Guy Ritchie movie, it's a Guy Ritchie movie. Every time you watch a Guy Ritchie movie, it's that kind of style. And I think you watch the stuff he's bringing out now, like some of the films I've caught hold of in the last few months that he's done, is it The Gentleman or something as well? Like, all of his stuff I still think is really good, and he's even gone on to say, like, independence to be able to make his films and bring them out. So yeah, I think it will definitely be for the good. I wouldn't mind seeing that Star Wars movie, because I was never into Star Wars until
I'm gonna post it. I'm just looking for it now.
I was going to say, the first Star Wars movie I watched, because when I was younger, I used to hate sci-fi. I never used to watch it. I used to think it was crap. And then I watched Phantom Menace, Star Wars Phantom Menace, and it completely hooked me. So I watched, obviously, in a row from then onwards, and then my mate was like, "Oh, there's about 6 movies from the 60s or something that you have to watch." And I was like, "Go on then," seeing as I'm into it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see that one, if it is better than all of them.
Yeah, I swear, I couldn't believe how well it was made, and the story fit. I mean, it's a short movie. I don't think it's that long, but it was better than all 3 of the sequels that they made. I'm not even remotely joking. I actually liked the characters. I felt for the characters. When somebody died, I was actually upset. It's like I gave a crap. I literally couldn't give a crap about the sequels of anyone dying. Any one of them could, apart from maybe Chewie. Chewie was the only one I might have gave a shit.
This is actually a good thing if we can keep a handle on AI, like keep it from getting out of control, because it can be used to help further the likes of Hollywood and the entertainment industry inevitably destroying itself. I mean, we're seeing it collapse. No one's that interested in it like what they were,
Yeah, true.
because
The
of what
views,
we're
the
all
viewing
finding
figures on
out.
YouTube. Yeah, no, so I was going to say, but everything, the problem with humanity is everything that's made for good is manipulated for bad, isn't it? I mean, the internet being a prime example. That was supposed to
And
bring
that was
people
specifically
together.
that was specifically deployed as a weapon against us, and it's backfired on them actually, because it's full of information that they didn't want us to know. It's helped. It's helping with the dismantling and destruction of Islam for
Yeah,
sure.
it's definitely helped with that. So yeah, that movie I posted ages ago, that actually was a really good one, because you could never question Islam, could you? But now with groups forming and the internet bringing people from around the world an ability to talk, it's actually given them a chance to question it, hasn't it? And people to, well, some of the ones that have left, to be able to see it for what it is. So yes, in that respect, it has helped.
This is why the powers that be are so hell bent in trying to ban everything. I mean, right now at the Economic Forum, that woman who's the head of the European Union, her entire thing was about misinformation and disinformation. How we have to protect people. They have to protect us little people from naughty things and bad things that people would say, because we're idiots and we need to be manipulated by our betters.
Well, the one that I noticed, I don't know if everyone else noticed it, but the word woke, like when the word woke first started being used, I discovered it on Tom McDonald, actually, I think, in some of his earlier stuff. And it literally came out. It was only out for about 6 months, but it was being brought out by independent people to mean people that were awoken to the bullshit in the world. But as soon as it started gaining traction, did you see them all jump on it? Everyone, the Prime Minister, the MPs, the media, the news companies, they all started. They jumped on it and they twisted it into this kind of different meaning and different word as to what we know it today. Woke being this woke madness. But when it initially first came out, it was a really short period, but it literally got jumped on and flipped so quickly by everyone, by the media, everyone that had any power, and it completely got twisted and turned around, and it is what it is today. But I just thought I'd mention that. It's just something that always stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's actually incredible how back in if you go back to the 80s and 90s, things like the gay movement, even the gay movement was a fringe movement. Nobody wanted to touch, no corporation certainly wanted to touch it with a barge pole. But then all of a sudden, when it became into, especially in the 2000s, it came into the mainstream and it became, the gay movement, pride became acceptable. The corporations just gobbled it up. Oh, we're all about gay now. Oh, BMW loves the gays. Starbucks loves the gays. Of course, the gays in Europe, their logos were all covered in rainbow in Europe. In the Middle East, hell no. There was none of that crap in the Middle East.
It's all the supermarkets as well. I went on my Tesco app the other day and it's just full of rainbows. I was like, for God's sake, it's everywhere I bloody go.
Well, it's just the fact.
Open up my shopping app and see rainbows there. I mean,
but the funny thing is, what I was trying to get to is that the things that were considered to be subverting from the norms of society, the things that were outside of so-called the squares, the guys in the suits, were co-opted by the guys in the suits, and now the very people who go to Glastonbury or to West, what was that other one in America? Oh, damn, I forgot what it's called. Woodstock. The very people who go to those things are now cheering for corporations and vaccines and things that the governments want them to do. It's like you were supposed to be the ones that are going against the grain. You were the ones who were supposed to be the outsiders. You were supposed to be the ones who go against the corporations. Now you're batting for them. You're working for them.
Batting being the operative word, yeah.
Yeah, because all of the hippie era and all of that was supposed to be against the squares, against the mainstream, against mainstream society. But now they are the mainstream society.
It was,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
the thing
Remember
is,
Vietnam?
they were just another set of ideologue, weren't they? They were obviously looking at their idea of the perfect world as opposed to looking at it for what it is and just trying to get on with it.
I mean,
So yeah, two
yeah.
cheeks of the same butt.
Part of it comes down to economics as well. I mean, this happens all around the country, different parts of the world at different times. But when they flood, you know, if you look at some of those, what's that film, Stephen, with the all the thugs and the fighting? I can't remember it now. I forgot the name of it. But drugs, like when they
film
flood
with thugs and fighting. There's a lot of films with thugs and fighting.
Yeah, no, it was one of the good ones from ages ago with all the fighting and the Essex boys and all that kind of stuff. But it was portrayed in there. But like when they flood at certain times a year to make us all love each other and have kids, like the 60s, 70s, you know, the drugs, the hippies, everyone shagging, baby boomers, etc., because you wanted population growth. It goes down to, again, economics and whoever controls, you know, it at the top. And it's, you know, you can follow it around different parts of the world, you know, wherever there's having a population shortage, let's flood it with ecstasy, let's flood it with happy drugs, social things, lots of music, get everyone loving each other, and then boom, you've got a whole new population growth. And I mean, economics is quite a tricky subject to kind of get a whole view of, but it's all in there. It's been done around the world. I think at the moment it's all South America, and they're trying to flood those areas. And I mean, Thailand and the Philippines, they've had it, you know, for the last 20 years as well. Obviously they had a problem with so many gays, didn't they, and lady boys and stuff, that they were reducing their population, so people just flood it with drugs. I just remember one clip from one of those. I can't remember the name of I think it's Foot Soldier. Is that the film I'm thinking of?
Rise of the Foot Soldier.
Yeah, Rise of the Foot Soldier. He says it in there. He goes, he's in the club and he's going, "Fuck me." He goes, "In our day, him and him." He goes, "They'll be battering 7 bells out of each other." He goes, "But look at them now. They're all fucking lovey-dovey." He goes, "It's because of these E's." I just thought that kind of thing sticks in my head, you know. And
I'll have to watch that one again, actually.
Yeah, I say it did come up in like economics, and I say there's a computer system called Gemini that controls the world's money, and it destabilizes different parts of the world, starts wars in different parts of the world to keep the bulk of the money and the gold safe, and it's constantly on like a revolving belt, you know, so that it can't be sort of stopped and taken by one person. It's a bigger subject.
Who is it that programmed that computer though?
I've got no idea. There's very little information.
It's not my potential argument is that it's not the computer controlling, it's someone who programmed that computer to do that.
Well, it's like crypto, isn't it? If you think of crypto and Bitcoin and what's his name, Shinatoku, I think it was the guy that no one knows.
Satoshi.
Yes, it's Satoshi. No one knows who created the blockchain, do they, per se? But they give it to him, I think, don't they? Is that right?
Yeah. A lot of people say that it was actually CIA.
That's the thing. It could be, it couldn't be, but
wouldn't surprise me.
It does seem like a good trade system, though. I mean, I don't have too many qualms with it. It just needs to be used in the right way.
Yeah, this is my concern about crypto as a whole, is that although, you know, it may or may not have been developed by some nefarious organization within the government, it circumvents the banking system. And no government that I know of in this modern era would ever cross the banks, because any president who has ever crossed the banks, especially in American history, has been assassinated, or an attempted assassination has been, you know, put on him. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Andrew Jackson, who destroyed the first Central Bank of America, had an attempt. The gunman had 2 guns, but because they were flint, guns, they failed to assassinate him. So any president, certainly in the United States, that tries to circumvent the central banking system is going to get taken out. And in fact, some people say that was Kennedy as well. Kennedy was going to do that.
The Titanic went down because of that.
I think it's become a case of can't beat them, join them, because if you go into like stocks and trading and the forex market, etc., the banks know what they're doing. You know, if people were doing all right at first in it, but once they started putting their money into it, they pretty much call the shots. And now I think there's technology out there that does all the trading and everything for them. Do you know what I mean? There's some sophisticated systems that control it, and when people are putting their money in thinking they're doing well, the banks can just stabilize it at the click of a finger because they've got involved now. I mean, money in those areas, money changes things. When you put so many billions in, you can see it with the sort of price rise and drop, and it can all be manipulated. But it was working for a bit, and I still think the system is good because it can't be traced, it can't be tracked, it's constantly moving. Granted, if you haven't got electricity and internet, it will fail, but otherwise, no one can take a piece, or no one used to be able to take a piece. If you wanted to do a trade with somebody, you want to sell your potatoes for a pig or something, you can do it. I know that's a basic analogy, but that's
that's bartering system.
Trade. Yeah, there's no tax, there's no middleman, there's no one taking anything out of it. It's kind of a foolproof system, but like everything, it does.
The thing is, the thing is, you can go to gold standard. And you can go to a silver standard of societal, or this is on a single country basis. The problem is when it comes to money, essentially, it certain types of systems work within a certain number of people. So if you have a village of 100 people, you can work on a barter system. I'll give you a goat, you give me a bag of grain, it'll work fine. But if you're looking at having to deal with 1,000 people, then lugging a goat around all day to try to get a bag of grain is going to be a bit of a bitch. So you'd rather have something that's a bit more portable, that's a bit more convenient. That's why they moved to gold coins or pieces of gold, because gold has its own intrinsic value, and you can say, okay, I'll give you this, you give me your bag of grain, and then you can go to the guy who has a goat and give him that piece of gold, and he'll give you the goat. I don't have to run around with a wheelbarrow of goats and grains all day.
Exactly.
That's what happens. That's how things moved on, because as societies, as we went from cave to village to town to city to country, it just became far too awkward to keep lugging around, bags of beans and goats and sheeps with you, and that's
wasn't it the wasn't the Freemasons what they called started the banking system, the Knights Templar, wasn't it? By holding money around the world, so they
no. I mean, the Knights Templars, the banking system was around way before that. It was actually originally it was the goldsmiths, because what happened was, there's a whole documentary on it called The Money Masters. You should watch it. It was made in the 90s or 80s. It's fantastic.
I'll write it down.
And originally what happened was, when people had gold and they were trading gold for goods and services, they realized they can't hoard a lot of gold in their own house. People are going to come and rob them. Goldsmiths had safes. They had large safes and they were secure. So people would put their gold with the goldsmith, and the goldsmith would write them a receipt to say, this is how much gold you have in our safe. And what happened was, this is where paper money actually came about. Yeah. People started to trade the receipts that they had from the goldsmith. So they say, I have a pound of gold, and I have a receipt for a pound of gold. They go to a guy, can I have 2 of your sheeps? He says, okay, those 2 sheeps will cost a pound of gold. He says, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll write this receipt out to you. You go to the goldsmith and get my pound of gold from the goldsmith. But people never went to the goldsmith to get their pound of gold. They just traded those receipts.
That's right, because it's safer in the safe.
Because it was, because like, why do I want to carry a pound of gold around with me? I'll just give you the receipt. The gold is always in the safe. But what the goldsmith realized is that not everyone comes at once to take the gold. So the goldsmith started to give loans out based on the amount of gold he had in the safe, and more than, in fact, the amount of gold he had in the safe, because he realized not everyone comes at once to get all the gold. So he will always have gold to give to someone who comes and wants to get their gold, but he can actually lend out more money. Fractional reserve lending came out of that.
I was going to say, but then there's always that time where it happens, and I suppose that's what introduced debt, wasn't it? And then you have debt, which you pay debts, and then, I'd much rather go
it's
back
crazy
to
how all
silver.
of this sort of
Yeah, I'd much rather go back to gold and silver, because at least you've got something of value in your hand, which is always, I think, a bit more what everyone wants. Whereas crypto, it's not really. It's a commodity, isn't it?
It's
Any
notes
coin,
and zeros in a
currency.
computer.
Yeah, it's a commodity.
Exist.
It's a word. So
but the funny thing is, money doesn't actually exist. This is the secret of money, is that it doesn't exist. Money is whatever you decide that it has value for, that you can exchange for goods and services. In Britain, there was a time where a stick was money, where you would deposit your gold with the king. This was the king's treasury or whatever, and the king would give you the stick where they would cut notches, the money stick, and they would cut that stick into two halves. One half will be kept with the king, and the other half will be with you. And apparently, someone in the 1980s or 70s bought massive amounts of stock with a stick, because that stick is still considered currency. It was valued as currency, legitimate currency. So money is anything that you and I agree to exchange for goods and services. It can be anything you want.
Talking of the money stick, it just jogged my memory of something they found in archaeology recently. They found it, I think, in the Mayan over there with the Mayans. It was a string, wasn't it, that had knots on the string. Have you seen that? It's like a belt with different bits of rope hanging off it, and each different bit of rope's got different numbered knots in it, and they reckon it could be the earliest form of banker, exactly like you say, with the notches in the stick.
Yeah.
But you've got different knots on different pieces of string for different people.
But if you actually think about it, that's noughts and zeros right there. That's your computer binary. That's your mathematics. It's not really, that a rope isn't worth anything, but that rope with those notches in that community, in that society, is worth a lot, depending on who values it. So this is why this thing with like crypto, it's like any money. It's noughts and zeros just kept in a particular location in a particular way that others can't defraud it, and they can't copy it and like print fraudulent money, essentially. That's what it is. If you have a system, which is what the crypto system is, the blockchain, which means not anyone else can reproduce it and copy it. So that means it's kept honest, essentially. I mean, although there are ways to manipulate crypto as well, but nevertheless, it's kept honest. And just like your banknotes, where they go through extreme measures to make sure no one else can copy the banknote and produce false fake notes, it's the same with the crypto. I'll be honest, they're just concepts.
Every banknote's a promise, isn't it? Because it all says on there, I promise.
Exactly. It's a promissory note. It's still that same receipt that the goldsmith gave you for your pound of gold in the safe. It's still the same shit. It's still the promissory note. It hasn't actually moved on that much from that ancient sort of its humble beginnings. The main thing with the banking system, especially with the fractional reserve lending that they're doing, the whole thing is built on a house of cards. It's built on mud. It's built on sand, sorry. It has no foundation. This is why banks are scared shitless when they have a run on the banks, when everybody runs to the bank and tries to withdraw their money. Do you know in China, they don't even allow you to do that anymore. You can't take all your money out anymore. And in fact, I've noticed in Britain, they're starting to do that as well.
It's all digital now, isn't it, in China?
But if you want to take out cash over a certain amount, they'll make you run through a gauntlet of crap in order to take out like 10 grand, 5 grand. No, some guy wasn't even able to take out like £1,000, apparently. They were giving him shit.
Everyone puts something on it as well. There's tax here, tax there. I've got a little piece of it. You've got a piece of it. I mean, you can go to football even, all the football transfers between players and stuff. I mean, in Spain and Portugal, as an example, no club owns a player. Like, there's about 5 or 6 different investment companies that get together to afford to buy the player for the club. It's as corrupt as hell, but that's what happens in Europe, in Spain and in Portugal, I know for sure. So
do you guys know a guy called Robert Kiyosaki? Have you guys?
Yeah,
he wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, I love that book.
Listen to the stuff he says. Yeah, he tells you exactly how the rich operate. He himself even says, I don't live off my money. Why should I live off my money? I just get loans from the bank and I live off their money. And loans, by the way, are not susceptible to tax. You can't get taxed for a debt.
That's it.
So,
the rich live in debt. This is the thing. We live in debt, but we live in debt where we're kind of controlled by the debt. Whereas the rich, they just like live in like high
they control the
money
debt.
It's a really good book. Yeah, I recommend everyone to read it, because that book really does sort your head out from thinking the way we're brought up to think about money. And I think, Robert Kiyosaki says it himself, doesn't he? He says, I wouldn't have educated, if I was a child, I wouldn't have educated myself to work the 9 to 5, to be a slave to the system,
100%.
to pay the money. He goes, why aren't we educating our kids to make their own money, to be able to manage their money properly?
And to know what money is and how money works. And this is the problem. We don't. Most of us who are on PAYE, which is pay as you pay as you earn, essentially, you get taxed on wages. It's a sucker's game. Absolutely, the sucker's game. The rich do not live on PAYE. The rich do not live on salaries. This is why Elon Musk doesn't get a salary from Tesla. He gets stock options. He doesn't make a penny.
I had a really rich mate, and his dad always lived in like 5, 6, 7 bedroom mansions, in really affluent areas, and they were always rented properties. As kids, you're growing up thinking, oh, he's well off, he's got a massive nice house. But as you get older, obviously, you realise that they're just living in rented property. So you only... And also, rich people don't keep things around their house. Like anything that's worth value, you get rid of and you sell. You keep the value in it. You keep moving it.
Depending on if it's taxable or not. I mean, they hide their money in items like paintings and watches, expensive paintings, expensive watches, things, commodities, which cannot be taxed by the taxman. The taxman cannot come and cut off half of your Van Gogh.
Exactly,
It's potential money, but it's not actual money in your pocket. So they can't tax you on your Van Gogh. But if you had £1 million in your account,
you're going to lose a lot.
They will tax that out of you. They'll tax the shit out of that. So the rich don't put their money in their bank. They put their money in things that gain value, but the taxman can't touch it. The amount of stuff that the rich know on how to get out of paying tax is unbelievable. And this is why people think like this Robin Hood aspect of, we'll just, these idiots like Starmer and these communists who think, we just tax the rich more. The rich are rich because they know how to not pay you taxes, you idiots. They have all the lawyers, they have all the accountants, they have all the finances and the ability to not pay your taxes. If you put up taxes, the rich will find new ways to not pay them. So you're never going to tax the rich the way you think you are, because the rich actually are clever and rich, so they know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's all in the book. Honestly, go back to that book. That book is a really good book. It's worth reading again and again. But yeah, it definitely tells you, because there's only 1%, isn't there? 1% of rich people. Everyone else pretty much is.
But the thing is, what happens with these tax increases? The rich never pay them. The middle class pays them. So the guy who's earning 50k, 100k, 40k, he pays those extra taxes because it trickles down to them. Because the rich get away with it. The rich are going to hide their money in other ways. They're going to put their money in places where they don't pay the tax.
Class people getting to be in the rich club, they want them to stay below them.
But essentially, you crush upward mobility. You crush your middle class, because your middle class eventually will break and say, screw this, I can't afford to live in this country, I'll leave. I'll take whatever measly amount of money I have and I'll just go find somewhere else. So that's what's going to happen. You're going to get flight of the middle class, and you're going to get the middle class who are just going to be demoralized because they'll have no upward mobility. I know people who've refused job opportunities or refuse to get promoted in their job because by being promoted you'll end up paying more tax and still not earn that much more and still have all the responsibilities of the promotion that they've given you. So you get more work, you have to do more work, you have to pay more taxes, and your end of month pay isn't actually that much more. So you're getting nothing for it.
And then,
so it's not worth being promoted.
Yeah, but also they brought the level up for benefits, didn't they? So a lot of people now think that they're better off on benefits than they are getting a job, because you can get a job and end up with less money than you would if you're bloody scrounging. So the lines really have to be redrawn, and benefits should be for them that desperately need it, and The middle class.
Well, I mean, the whole
cannot be
benefit
taxed as
thing
much.
is an entire. I mean, that's a whole other shell game. And the NHS, and I mean, I'll be honest, the social services that we have right now are not worth the money you're paying for. You try to use the NHS, I'll guarantee you'll find it impossible to get anything out of them, because it's
Yeah.
horrific. It's
Well, nothing
horrific.
is. Nothing. The
It's
amount of money they're
overstretched.
wasting. Yeah, but the amount of money they're wasting on this stupid clean air bill and global warming and all this other bullshit. I mean, give it a week with all this rain we're having, and we'll be called, oh, we're flooding because of global warming again. But really, it's because the bloody drains are blocked because they're not fucking paying the dustbin people or the road sweepers to clean them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, let's put 2 billion into this global warming problem that doesn't exist when you could pay 200 grand to pay people to clear out the drains.
Did you guys hear about the sun dimming that the British government is funding right now?
It's basically them trying to cover up all the bloody conspiracy theories of the vapor trails before, anyway, isn't it? And now they put solar farms everywhere, and now they want to dim the sunlight. It doesn't make bloody sense, does it?
It's the most idiotic thing I've ever seen. And there's genuine money going into it, though. They are actually researching it, and there's the pouring. I don't know how many millions, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of millions.
I know there is. There's a lot, and they're also still building bloody solar farms to tell us that we can get energy from the sun to save money. And the money you're saving is nothing like what they're paying for this bloody cloud dimming, whatever rubbishes they're coming out with. It's all just money waste.
Solar farms in Britain. It's the dumbest shit ever. Like, let's find the country that has the least amount of sun, and then try to extract energy from it.
They say it's expensive, but hydro, we're surrounded by bloody water. We need hydro.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
Solar panels and windmills. Windmills are all right on the coast, but
I mean, I from what I hear from the windmill side of things, the only problem is that it's just simply not producing enough output in order to make it profitable, basically. Or make it viable. That's the only thing with the wind thing. Although Britain, I think, would be, should be pretty decent for that. But the hydro stuff, I mean, we know hydro works. That's why they build massive dams in all over the place.
Yeah, well, hydro engines are already being built. Cars are coming out. Hydro is going to wipe out the electric vehicle. I mean, let's face it, electric cars brought out to make the oil-rich people in the Arabs poor. They were getting too rich. They're earning too much money off of oil, so they bring out electric. This is the way I see it. They bring out electric vehicles. We all know that electric vehicles aren't going to last more than 10 years because we haven't got the minerals in the earth to make the batteries, right? So hydro engineering, I've got a mate who lectures in universities. He said that they're making a big push now in England for hydro engineers in the youth, which is good. I think Audi is it, and VW have already brought out hydro engine cars. So the next thing is going to be hydro water powered vehicles, which is going to wipe out the electric vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the hydro. Well, from what I've seen anyway, I saw stuff like that years ago. Now, as far as the hydrogen, to extract the hydrogen from water, most of the time the problem was that it took more energy to extract the hydrogen from the water than it produced to run whatever vehicle you want to run. But it still wouldn't actually get away from electricity, because that hydrogen is going to be converted into electricity in order to power the electric engine. So the engine itself, I don't think it's going to be like a hydrogen-powered engine. It'll be an electric engine which the hydrogen powers, so that you're still going to need the electric engine and the batteries.
Look into it. I say Google it. I think Audi or VW, one of them, have now bought Mercedes, one of the Germans, have brought out a proper good hydro engine, one that's efficient, works well, etc., etc. It's been done. It's been approved. I'm sure it's going to be in production soon. But yeah, it's a really good system. And I think, obviously, just like everything, us being third world country leaders, like you said earlier, Lieutenant, we want to get on the hydro engineering as well. I've heard it from, I make the lectures in uni. They're making a big push now in the youth for hydro engineering. So I think the next 10 years, it's definitely going to be a thing. And why not?
So we've been a bit quiet with there's sort of two conversations going on. There's the one on the panel that I'm listening to.
Sorry.
We're having like a separate discussion in chat about Christianity and the world being flat. which the world is a globe. What do you think, Banksy? Is the world flat? That was the first discussion. Then we moved on to Christianity.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sorry. I'm a man of science. I know that we've been let down by some of our medical science people in the last few years, and I know a lot of people have skeptical eye over like medical science with the stuff in the 2020 and climate science. But overall, I still would put my trust in the science of the world that we know than the Bible or the Quran. So yes, no, the world is still round, and that has been overwhelmingly proven by literally so many different ways.
I go by science so much as well. In fact, there's many times things come up between me and one gem we're discussing. I'm like, yeah, but science has proven it, and he still manages to say, "Oh, no, it's not true."
Science has been manipulated. I think original science.
This is the thing. I agree with you guys that yes, in the last few, certainly the last 5 years, I have had massive I've become skeptical about those who profess they speak on the behalf of science. You know what I mean? So the medical people, the climate people, I am not convinced entirely by there. But then skepticism is part of the scientific discord, is to be skeptical, it's to constantly challenge it. So if these people are right, then their results will show for themselves, because we will constantly challenge them, and then they'll produce results repeatedly, which will show that they're right. But if they're not right, then the scientific process will expose them in exactly the same way. When it comes to the world and the globe, I'm sorry, if you use your GPS, that's because the world is round. GPSs work on a spherical planet model.
One question. Why don't planes fly over the Antarctic and the North Pole in that direction?
They do. I talked to someone. You can get a tour over the Antarctic.
Yeah, but planes all go horizontally around the Earth pretty much. They do go up and down as well, yeah. But within a certain range, they pretty much go, horizontal. You don't often get any flights that go north-south, vertical to
less danger
to down. I mean, I just wonder why. That's all. Look, I don't think the Earth's flat, but it's one of the questions.
The thing is, when it comes to the Antarctic, I literally, someone was talking to me about, they never go over the Antarctic. I'm like, you can book a flight. I showed them you can book a flight. Just Google it, flights to the Antarctic. It's an extremely harsh and hostile place, and it's dangerous. So it's not exactly a tourist hotspot.
It makes sense. There's no way of anyone helping you if you crash.
I mean, if things happen, that's why there isn't that many flights. But there are tours. You can book a tour over the Antarctic, and you can actually land, and there's like bases and stuff there. But I don't know. I haven't explored all of the Antarctic. I don't know if there's some giant hole to the hollow earth where dinosaurs and King Kong live. I don't know these things. I'm not going to profess that I know.
I always leave 10% for doubt, just in case, because you never know.
But people say there's an ice wall somewhere where the United Nations has boats circling it so that you don't fall off the edge of the earth.
It's Game of Thrones, isn't it?
God help me. Look,
that is true. If it was flat, you would fall off the edge, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, that's why there has to be these massive ice walls, and the United Nations has ships monitoring anyone going near the ice wall. Otherwise, you'd fall off the edge of the earth.
I've seen the map.
Hang on.
It's like if you fly around the world, eventually you're going to come to nothing if there's an edge.
Yeah, but if you spread it out in a special way.
Hang on, that's assuming there's an edge.
But why isn't that? So you mean there's the Earth is just the entire universe? There's no end.
I don't know. Do you know? Have we seen?
Well, imagine the Earth was like a piece of
Have we seen actual video evidence or just CGI images?
Yes, I've actually seen video evidence. You can Google right now on YouTube. There's a camera 24/7 from the IIS just running on a loop.
I mean, if you take the Earth, right, and it's a round ball of, say, blue tack, and you squash it with your thumb, just as an example, because I've seen the maps that they've produced. So imagine you squash it with your thumb, right? So the Antarctic is then going to spread out to the outside, hence their wall theory. So I have seen the map, and I've gone down that rabbit hole. But I'm still not convinced. Yeah,
look, if Katy Perry can tell us the Earth is round, then I think I'm okay. I'm there. Katy Perry has one of our foremost, highest level scientists.
This conversation
has seen it.
It's computer generated, apparently. Thanks. See those images of the.
We're taking Katy Perry's word for anything.
The only problem I've got with science, I mean, a lot of science can't be disproven, and it's very true. But the way I say it can be manipulated is they've adopted the same kind of system as, say, a religion and the Bible. If you think about the scientific words that nobody can pronounce or understand, that the bigwigs know that write the books, and it filters down to us, just like the disciples, filters down to us in the same kind of way.
The funny thing is, I don't. With the flat earthers, I don't understand. What I don't understand is, if they are proven to be right, what changes? Like how does our understanding of the world, the universe, the planets, how does any of that change? It doesn't change really anything, because unless you fundamentally change the nature of universe, because we can see other planets.
Well, hang on.
Even the flat earthers can't deny other planets exist, and we've seen them rotate in a ball shape.
But we're being lied to about the rotation, because astrophysicists that have turned whistleblowers have said now that you can tell that the Big Bang Theory isn't real because of the rings on Saturn. As one example, they would have spread out over the time we've been monitoring them a lot further than they have been, and there's other planets that don't spin in the same way as all the other planets, etc., etc. So that disproves the Big Bang Theory, because then everything doesn't blow outwards and keep going outwards like they're trying to tell us with the universe expanding, etc.
Yeah, but the universe expanding literally takes billions of years. We're never going to see it in a single, even a span of the few thousand years, couple of 100,000 years human beings have been around.
And then they can reverse it on a computer model now, etc., etc. This is how they reckon it's how they sell it to us. It's been disproved recently by astrophysicists, and it just leads more truth to the Bible story of creation, just to throw a spanner in the works.
I always try and understand the gravitational pull of Earth, though. That always messes up my head, thinking of gravity and how gravity works. If it was flat,
it's like magnets, isn't
then
it?
yes, you would stay on your feet. But if you
when you put two magnets together, you feel the energy, don't you? It's the same.
But if you take a sphere and you put something on it and you spin it as fast as you can, things are going to fly off it. It's not going to get stuck to it. It's going to fly off it.
Yeah, but that's to do with the iron core, isn't it? And the magnetism that's sucking it.
No, it's not. It's not really that. It's the fact that a small ball that from your vantage point, it appears as if things are going to fly off it from that sort of side. But you have to if you take a human being in proportion and actually shrink an object down to the size of a human being with that ball that you have, so everything's in proportion to you and the Earth, then you will see the actual functioning. But if you take a small little doll, let's say Lego doll, which is almost the same or quarter of the size of the ball that you're putting it on, it's not going to work, because that thing would be a massive giant on planet Earth.
Dust as well.
So you have to actually take everything in proportion. You know that if you look, what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson says if you shrink the planet Earth to a size of a billiard ball into like an 8-ball, it will be smoother than an 8-ball. Despite all the ridges and all the mountains that we have, it will become smoother than an 8-ball on a pool table, because on that scale, none of that matters.
Yeah, well, dust on a pendulum. Think about the older clocks and how they worked and how intricate the clocks were, and you'd have a swinging pendulum that would always be moving, and it'd still pick up dust that doesn't fly off. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of one way of looking at it.
Well, here's the thing:
if you actually do we believe we stepped foot on the moon as well? That's always.
I personally think it's yes. I would say yes, because not because of the Americans saying that we landed on the moon.
I disagree.
Well, I know there's a lot of people who do, but what I will say is the reason I say that yes we did is because the Russians confirmed it, and the Russians are absolute enemies of the Americans. They would do nothing to benefit the Americans, and so they would be more than happy to expose the Americans as frauds.
Well, I believe they did land on the moon, because why would they lie about something like that?
Well, the lenses we've got nowadays, we should be able to zoom in on the moon and see a flag. And I've still not seen anybody zoom in. And
no, we can. It's not. I don't know about a lens to actually see. I mean, I don't know what kind of.
That would have been destroyed by now.
You can hire someone who's got a satellite, haven't they? And they can pinpoint from a satellite down to a 5-pence piece on Earth. So if they've got those kind of lenses, someone should have shown us a flag on the bloody moon by now.
The amount. Yeah, but there's going to be no flag that would be destroyed. Like the amount of meteors that hit the moon. That would have been
possibly, yeah. But the thing is, there was a lander there as well. It wasn't just the flag, the American flag. There was actually a lander, because you do realize when they took off, they went into the thing that landed them onto the moon. The bottom part stayed, and then they got shot up with the top portion, and the bottom half of the lander is still on there.
The only thing I question about the moon landings is, how advanced we have become with technology now. How come it hasn't happened again, and several times for that matter?
Cost money with the fuel to space.
Yeah, there was no financial
lot less
benefit.
money than it was back then.
Lately,
well, the thing is,
they're talking about it, aren't they?
Yeah, the Chinese are talking about it because they want to go mine the moon. Now, if there's a financial gain and some, you guys heard of this thing called H3? Helium-3.
Yeah, that's what they want to mine.
Yeah, they want to mine that in order to because it's a great power source, and so if they can find a way economically to be able to go there, mine it, and then send that stuff back to Earth, then if it's financially viable, then they will. But the reason they did the moon trips, it was political. It was to show the Russians that America is a superior technological country. So it was politics that did that.
They
didn't do it.
Plan, haven't they, to do it in 34, where they've got this machine that they're going to apparently capture a meteor and bring it back to Earth or something. I've seen that one. It's all.
Do you guys believe that they landed a drone on a comet? Because that's happened a few years back, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had a ship. Well, they've got one of the rovers, haven't they, that's being followed by a drone. I can't remember what planet it is. It's on the moon.
But I don't know if it was the what do you call it? If it was a comet or a asteroid. But
was it Mars?
No, it wasn't Mars. No, they actually landed an actual drone onto a comet or an asteroid.
I believe
it was one of those.
I believe it because they wouldn't have this space thing set up for 34 or whenever it is to capture this meteor. So it must have been the same meteor for them to have been able to analyze it and prove that it's got stuff on there that they want to mine.
I don't know. Look, I like to believe, because I love Star Trek, and I love to believe that we're going to be capable of doing these things.
Humans
because we
have to remain curious, or else
but also we got to get to a point where we can actually become a multiplanetary species. Otherwise, we're headed for the dinosaurs. We're headed the same place as the dinosaurs. If we just remain on this planet, eventually some nasty shit's gonna happen. Either a meteor is gonna hit us, massive climate change, because we're delayed. We've actually been over we're late. We're due for an ice age. We're actually
the world will end to nuclear war. I'm pretty
that as well. Us killing each other too. So if we don't become a multiplanetary species, then we're headed for extinction.
Well, Stephen Hawking said it before he died.
We are currently in a cooling period.
Yes, according to Joe Rogan, at least. Well, it was actually
wasn't there.
The rest of them want us to believe in global warming.
We are
for the religious people. Wasn't there 3 ways that God was going to destroy the earth or something? One by water, Isn't there something like that?
Flood. Well, I mean, there was the
Yeah.
flood, Noah's flood.
No,
Technically,
no, no. He promised he would never do that again. That's where the rainbow comes from. That's to
Yeah, I'm sure
remind
someone
us of
said.
his covenant that he'll never flood the earth again.
But then how
Yeah,
about
but I'm
hail?
sure someone said to me that there was going to be 3 ways that he would like do that, not necessarily by water, because he did the rainbow to promise he won't do it. So the next time it will be by fire or something.
Fire
I've
and
heard someone say.
brimstone.
Yeah, I mean, that's Revelations, right?
Yes, I
I'm
mean, I'm
not
not really
sure
a
the
religious man, but I have heard someone tell me that.
The 7-headed dragon of Satan that will come on earth.
Yeah, the thing is, when you hear from people who still speak Aramaic today, the Assyrians, they still live the cultures that were lived back then when these books were written. And they will say to you that it's a book of idioms. Well, they're books of, full of idioms. And the vast majority of people so far who call themselves Christians have been misinterpreting it. And certainly they've been indoctrinated by certain denominations to believe this, that, and t'other, which is supposedly is far from the truth. So I wouldn't like to say just going off face value of what's in these versions and translations. I think it's worth studying and keeping in mind what not just the Catholic Church and the Church of England and all these other denominations say, but also what the Eastern Church will say, because they don't accept what the Catholic Church accepts as its canon and stuff like this. Like there's big differences, and the Eastern Church is the roots of the Bible, the Assyrians, the Aramaic speakers, who still use that tongue today.
Yeah. That's the same as Greek Orthodox, isn't it? Same denomination of church, yeah.
No, the Greek Orthodox is the Greek Orthodox is different to the Eastern Church. The Eastern is goes back to the original.
Okay. Has that got anything to do with the Doomsday Book? Because I always wondered why the Doomsday Book thing started going wrong, and then I started thinking, well, they've messed around with our calendar so much, we're not going to know what date's what, are we? We have to go back to an original calendar. Well, when it comes to that, it's getting a bit late now. I'm going to probably.
I was going to say I'm going to wrap this up soon. It's nearly 1. I didn't expect it to go on this long, but it's been a fascinating.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We can do this in the future. It's like we was having conversations on Christianity in the chat, and I says that'd be a good one for an open panel to talk about. Get an atheist up there, get a few Christians up there, just people that are on the edge, have a good debate. It's like, yeah.
Oh, so we've got enough people here in the panel now that's got a lot of knowledge that can give a good insight to different things. We've all done it before. Yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be a good idea.
Yeah, I'll host a discussion. Mel, Steve, and I were just saying there it would be good to Mel and I will share our testimonies. Anyone can talk, from whichever position they are. I don't know. What do you regard yourself as?
I'm the subject that they're trying to
atheist?
convert, and
No, we're not trying to convert.
And I can debate and say,
talk.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean from different perspectives.
I'm religious. I'm not religious at all. There's a difference between there's a difference between having a relationship with God and being religious. I don't go to church. I hardly ever read the Bible. I live with my relationship with God, and I've been like that since I was a very, very small child. But
you don't believe in Jesus?
What do you? Christ Yahusha. I don't call him Jesus, but it's the same one, yeah. But I don't call myself a Christian. The word Christian was originally used as a derogatory term to talk about true believers. God doesn't call me a Christian. He calls me his child. Right. I haven't joined cults or a religion or whatever.
You could be creating a new faith here because you have lots of faith that believe in
There's only one faith, and that is I have faith in God, right? I'm not I think there's a difference between faith and religion. People are calling religions faith, which is wrong. I think. I've had this discussion with Banksy before on the Big Nose of London channel. Do you remember that?
No, we need your video, Lieutenant. You're going to do that video and explain it all to us.
Oh, stop pressuring me. I've got loads of things that I have to do. But yeah, definitely one night I'll host a panel. I can have up to 6 guests because I'm doing restream on the free. So yeah, that would be good. Mel and I want to share our testimonies because I've never actually heard Mel's voice, and I don't think anyone's heard my testimony in full on YouTube. So that would be good. And if anyone wants to join in on the discussion, Steve, you said you would be interested.
Yeah, well, that's like I say. I mean, I'm always, looking to get information on religions and faiths and that, because I've never been a religious or faithful man, in my life. I've never really followed anything. I've just sort of, maybe it's there, maybe it's not, but I'm always based on strong evidence needed to say there's a God. That kind of theory. But yeah, no, I'm always looking to learn because, like I say, I've never read the Bible, I haven't read the Quran or anything like that. So I take it all in bits and pieces. Well, yeah, it's always up for discussion. Always
Banksy,
up for learning.
Banksy, what do you regard yourself? Are you like atheist or sitting on the fence or still the Ayatollah?
First of all, one Jen and Steve, I found that Star Wars fan film. I posted it in the side chat here, so check it out. It is remarkably good. It's so well made.
Thank you.
As far as religion, when it comes to the belief in a God, no, I'm atheist. I don't believe in a creator of the universe. But I am agnostic as to the existence of a creator of the universe because clearly, just like everyone else, I don't know. I don't have knowledge. I just simply refuse the people who claim they do. I refuse their claim. Or I reject their claim. That's where I stand. It's not too complicated. It's not too deep. Somebody told me there's a flying pig. I asked them, "Where's the flying pig? Show me a flying pig." They can't. I say, "Okay, you have a good day now."
Has anyone asked you to create a pen before?
Create a pen?
Yeah. How did you create your pen?
Oh,
in your mind.
I'm only joking.
Yeah. No, because that was a good one that the Big Nose of London would use, wasn't it?
The thing is, look, I accept the philosophical nature of a creator or the instigator of the universe. I can appreciate that there is a philosophical aspect to this, but unless you can actually demonstrate to me that there is actually a creator of the universe, which convinces me, then I'm sorry, I'm just going to reject your claim. People say, what would it take for me to believe in God? The funny thing is, God would know exactly what it would take for me to believe in God. So if God hasn't given me that evidence, then clearly He doesn't want me to know.
I always say everything has to come from somewhere. I always say everything has to come from somewhere. And usually when you say it to someone, they'll say, well, yeah, it came from God. And then I say, well, where did God come from? Everything has to come from somewhere. And it winds me up.
But they have to break their own rule.
How can you keep going back?
Yeah, they have to break their own rule. They make the statement everything comes from something, so cause and effect. But then they have to break it with God because their claim, the theological claim, is that you can't have infinite regression. So if something is infinitely regressive, then nothing can come of it. So nothing happens because it's constantly who made whom. God made God. God made God. God's maker. God's maker. So
it could keep going back and no one will find the answer.
So they claim that there has to, but that doesn't actually even wash anyway, because you could have an endpoint in this universe but still be in an infinite multiverse. So this universe has an endpoint and it exists and finishes and has a beginning and an end, but an infinite multiverse could exist, which you exist within it. So that is still infinite. You still exist within infinity, but you're finite within an infinite realm. So it can happen because for example, people say, or at least they used to, what was before the Big Bang? Now, prior to modern understanding, such a question is nonsensical. Before the Big Bang, there is no before when there's no time, because from the Big Bang was when we measure space-time. Space-time is connected. Time is measured within the space in which we have. And so without space-time, there is no before. So to say what is before the Big Bang is nonsensical, because there was no before, technically. But what people are now claiming is that there was a thing known as what they call meta-time. And so there was time before time. And within that, you could have a before the Big Bang. But I'm not entirely convinced of that. I still need to, because as I said, we only measure time within this universe because of space, because of the expansion of this universe. And that's how we have the concept of time. Now, the problem is, if you start to go into other dimensional viewing of the universe or of existence, so if you, for example, if you want to deal with M theory or string theory, you have to look at the universe within an 11-dimensional view. And we are only we're 3-dimensional creatures anyway. And if we even manage to traverse time, which will be the 4th dimension, we can only deal with 4 dimensions at any given time. So it is beyond us to really comprehend 11 dimensions, although physicists do work when it comes to string theory within that sphere.
Yeah, doesn't
I'm with Lynn here. I've got a head fuck now as well.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of shit in
an
here.
effect on that though, like the Syllab Island and the spirit molecule that they've had to accept now in the scientific world.
What do you mean, the spirit molecule?
Search it, mate. That is another brilliant film.
Spirit molecule.
Yeah,
interesting.
There's so much to think about when you start discussing that sort of...
Syllab Island in Magic Mushrooms and other hallucinogenic drugs has a DNA. If we'll watch the film, but it has a DNA pattern thing that links up to one in the human body that doesn't link to anything. So it proves that the human body has to experience it at least once, or else it wouldn't be there in the DNA of our human bodies. And that does take you to other dimensions. So yeah, look up the spirit molecule. That's another good film.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a billion things about the universe that I don't understand and I will never understand. And I feel so incredibly ignorant when I start to look at these things, because I am just such an idiot when it comes to these kind of things. But again, when it comes to the concept of the creator of the universe, I can't be simplistic about it either. I can't just simply accept God did it as an answer to everything in the universe.
It's a good thing that I think I've developed from Tufts. It's like you have to say you believe 90%. You've always got to leave 10% for doubt, because you just don't know unless you see it with your own eyes. You've always got to have that space in your mind to be able to accept.
The funny thing is, even seeing it with your own eyes isn't really your own eyes can deceive you quite dramatically. We get deceived all the time with the things, because what we see isn't actually what is. It is what our brain has interpreted. And so it is an interpretation that has taken place of what we see. So I would need better evidence than even what I see with my own eyes to convince me of the existence of God. It's not actually just what I can see with I don't see microwaves. I know microwaves exist. I don't see gravity, but I know gravity exists because I have other evidence for those things.
Yeah, I love that monk saying, it's like you can't see the air, but it fills your lungs.
Exactly.
That's a good,
exactly.
Good
So, yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely look up the spirit molecule. It's like a documentary film.
I'll Google it now.
Yeah, sure. They've tried to hide it in a lot of platforms, but I'm pretty sure you can still get it in YouTube, I think.
I've got several pages open for to look at later.
So
I've
many
got
things.
E-Sword on one page. I've got the Money Masters on another page.
That's
Wingman on another one.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, that's me set.
The Wingman, Money Masters, that's what's written down here. And there's this one you put in the chat that I haven't. Which link is it, Banksy? The bottom.
Which one? The bottom one, yeah. The X one I sent you is the one about the was a sun dimming. So that's an X link for sun dimming, and then the Wingman is that fan made video.
Yeah, I've watched it.
Is that completely AI generated? You say?
No, I don't think it's AI. I think it's a combination of computer graphics and actual live action. But it's a fan-made movie. Nothing produced. No. LucasArts or Disney hasn't commissioned this. This was just made by fans, and is better than the stuff that Disney has produced since they took over the the Star Wars copyright. So this is what I was saying about how fans can actually make better things than studios. And this AI is going to allow fans to do even more creative stuff. But yeah, I mean, I found this film to be, it's 50 minutes long, so it's kind of a movie, really.
Yeah.
But it's just so well done. It's so just everything about the script, the writing, the characters. It's just a really good, well-produced stuff.
I'll have a look into it.
Yeah,
I've got that up now.
Nice.
I say you've got Spirit Molecule to watch and Love,
I
Death
am.
and Robots.
I'm actually. I'm looking at that right now. There's a lot of other. There's actually a lot of stuff on this Spirit Molecule.
Oh, it's really good.
That's
Actually, yeah, I really
surprising.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great night,
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm gonna
Peace.
go too.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone in chat, and thanks to the panel. And,
Yeah,
Yeah,
glad to
thanks
see
for
you all.
thanks for having us, Steve. I'm out
it's
as
been
well.
fun.
Absolutely shattered. 1 a.m. Good night and God bless.
Good night. Take care.
Night, Lieutenant. Night, everybody.
Yeah.
Good one.
I think Mel's stuck with us since the start. So well done, Mel.
Well done, Mel.
Been a long
A
one.
true fan.
Yeah.
True supporter.
Yeah, it's been good. I was only planning originally on like a 45-minute to an hour live just to talk about
Lynn's
7-7,
still
and then
here.
all of a sudden the conversation got going.
Night to Lynn as well. Lynn's still with us.
Yeah, Lynn came back.
Mel,
Night,
Lieutenant
Lynn.
Banksy. Anyone
Night,
else?
Mel. And good night to anyone.
If you haven't
We
checked
can't
out my
visibly see
video,
in chat.
go and have a look. I thought you were going to try and embarrass me and play my getting attacked video.
No, I hadn't planned on it. So
so far, every one of my mates I showed it to laugh at me running after the guy. I'm like, why does everyone LOL it?
I mean, I weren't laughing at it. I was like, good, go on. So,
no, thanks, Lynn. Well done. I just saw that. And Mel, good stuff.
yeah. Right, ending it now. Take care, everyone, and I shall see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.